don't know, that bit been living rent free in my head though. All right, I'm gonna set up my camera real quick so that I can make sure that I can use it when it's time to use it. It's not gonna be time to use it right now immediately, but like when I do want to use it, I'm gonna have my iPad probably in my hand and then be using tethering to like take the photos and stuff like that. Kind of how I did my self-portraits before, but just kind of like to explain what we're talking about today in class. It'll be a lot easier to explain and then show and explain and then show, things of that nature. Like I have a teddy bear in here we could use too, but also trying to show you guys like you shouldn't wait to like create content or document something when you have the people to do so. I feel like if you can do it with yourself or you can do it by yourself, I feel like it kind of like makes you like a different, like, I won't say like, it makes you like a different demon, you know what I'm saying? Like you're actually able to get out here and create by yourself or document alone, not necessarily have to have someone doing it with you or helping you or whatever. I feel like you're able to do a lot more and get a lot more done. Let's see right here, there we go. Party at the beach down in Pocono. All right. So you like, you know it. Somebody else just joined. I'm gonna add them in a minute. Party at the beach. Party like you know it. Got the black yoga pants on. All right, let's see who just joined. See, I was gonna use the umbrella today, but I just don't really feel like it. Like I was really about to use it, but I feel like the umbrella's gonna give me a hard time. I don't really feel like using the umbrella because I feel like it's gonna give me a hard time. All right, do I got all the mics on? Check. Yep, all of them. Yeah, they're all on. All right. Down in Pocono. All right, we got our Maya cameras. Probably gonna set these over there whenever I set those up. All right, but lighting and camera mastery. I started off with this for the month because I feel like it's very important. Like I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily talk about it, and I guess its importance, but I feel like understanding your camera, like your individual camera and the camera that you have, is gonna be so vital because a lot of people will upgrade cameras and buy new stuff and buy new cameras, and in reality, it's like you're not even really ready for that new piece of gear that you purchase. It's like you buy this, you know, new light, new camera, new whatever, and you haven't even maximized your original one yet for you to be even buying a new one. So I feel like knowing what you're using, knowing how you're using it, and knowing why you're using it helps you out so much more. So that's what we'll be going over today. Camera mastery. I got my iPad right here. Okay. All right, if I gotta do anything, I'll put that bit right there. And shit of that nature. And things of that nature. Party at the beach. What's up, D? All right. Why is it not charging no more, bro? Come on. Why is it not charging? There we go. All right, so lighting and camera control overall, you literally do not have a lighting problem. I feel like you have a control problem because you don't know what you're controlling or how to control what you're controlling. I feel like that's like majority of the problem for people is they think that their camera settings, like they think that their camera like lighting is the problem, but they just don't know how they're controlling it or what to control or how to control whatever they're looking to control. And a lot of the times they don't even know what they're using. The majority of the time they don't know what they're using, how they're using it, why they're using it, or what they're even using for that matter, right? So let's get into it. Ooh, we're not recording. Haha, I remembered. Hold on, let me go check and make sure. I'm stuck in the waiting room. Oh, of class? All right, hold on, let me let you in. Sorry. All right, bet everybody there now. Sorry about that, young blood. All right, bet. So lighting and camera control. Check microphone. Yep, everybody good? Good, bet. So yes, I did make these slides today, but I always take notes. So before I started trying to make a slide deck, the reason that I even ever started creating slides was to help me try to organize my brain. So a lot of the time when I'm teaching things to you guys, like if you guys are watching a talking head video, a lot of things like that, I will have bullet points that help me organize my brain. I'll still end up going off on a tangent. If you've ever been to one of the workshops, you guys understand how my brain works, at least to where like something might happen and I'll be like, oh, this is a good thing to teach them now. Let me go ahead and teach them this. Let me go ahead and that. And I'm jumping and bouncing back and forth. And I feel like me constantly starting to try to like at least learn to do things in a certain like fashion or a certain at least order kind of helps you guys. It don't help me, but it kind of helps you guys understand what I'm saying a lot better, because the way that I learned was like A, Z, G, F, L, M, R, Q. I didn't learn A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I try to create bullet points and try to create these slides for you guys to do A, B, C, D, F, G. So when I'm creating an A, B, C, D, F, G, like chronological order slide for you guys, it's actually very hard for me to do because it is not how my brain works, right? But I know it's the easiest way to teach and educate because this is how a lot of you guys' brains do work. So I try my best, I try my hardest to create slides for you guys to be able to actually understand. So that way it's not like you're kind of getting like, you're like, oh my God, he just said this, but this doesn't connect to that in my head. And then he just said that and that doesn't connect to this in my head. But in my head, all these things connect. So I try to really take my time. So I started making these slides at 5 p.m. Well, 4:30, like 4:30 p.m. I started making these slides. So between 4:30 and now, I had to get the slides done. But you guys like try to put my ideas in my brain on a specific like in a line in some form of chronological order. So don't think that like, oh, he just be throwing shit together. Hell no, I actually take my time. I really sit down like, okay, like I read this back. How does it actually sound? Like if someone else read this, like how would this sound from like another person's brain, you know? Things of that nature. So just wanted to like kind of say that out loud. So the whole idea of the reframe is that you do not have a lighting problem, you have a control problem. A lot of times you don't really know what you're trying to change, what you're trying to control, and you start to blame it on lighting. Us as photographers, our job is to control light. That literally is our job. But if you don't know how to control the light or don't know what you're trying to control within that light, then you start to lose your control as the photographer because your job is to control light. Your job is how you control light. And the thing that makes a client choose you over another photographer or come to you rather than another photographer and choose your style rather than another photographer is how you capture light. They come to you and choose you based off how you capture light and how that differs from how someone else captures light, right? So very popular thing that a lot of photographers will do, they will just change settings emotionally, right? That can be high emotion, that can be low emotion, that can be high vibrations, low vibrations. So if you're in a pressured points, right? For example, like how Kenny was this weekend, right? If you're feeling pressured or you feel like you're under the wire, you start to do things out of emotion. You no longer fall back to, you know, that plan that you had set in your head or that, you know, that mental checklist that you always fall to. That's the whole goal, is to have a mental checklist that you fall back to. That when all else fails, you go back to training. It's muscle memory, right? That's the whole goal, is to create that muscle memory to where when you feel like it's fight or flight, you land back on that, right? It's like your instinct. You want to try to build an instinct. So when you get scared of a lighting situation or you get scared because, you know, your client's asking for a style of lighting that you may not be able to do, you need to figure out how you can land back onto your instincts, breathe, and then get surgical. Because a lot of the time we'll allow our emotions to control how the shoot goes, right? And you have to breathe, come back, and get surgical, all right? So a lot of photographers will change their settings emotionally. Maybe it's like, oh my God, it's too dark, I'm gonna go up my ISO. And then before you know it, you have a lot of images that are overly blurry or a lot of images that have way too much grain in them because you went up too high on your ISO because you weren't thinking strategically. You weren't getting surgical, right? You were spraying and praying. You were praying that it came out looking good. You just went up high as hell on your ISO and like, oh, I just fixed it in post. That is not the goal. The goal is to get it right in camera, right? You don't wanna have to fix it with editing. You don't wanna have to edit. Right? You want to have the option, like, oh, these, like, I'm sorry I keep using bro, but I just saw it on his story, and he was like, damn, my client posted the raw photos, and them raw photos was tough. Got it right in camera, right? So if you can get it right in camera, you'll have a lot more confidence over yourself as the photographer as well when it comes time to creating these images for your clients. And then when it comes time to edit, you're just adding micro adjustments, just like how I taught you guys with posing. You guys see kind of what we're doing here? Like, we're creating systems that allow us to have micro adjustments, right? You do all the majority of the work while you're at the shoot, whether that's posing, right? Whether that's framing, getting everything right in camera, right? Your lighting, what we're talking about this month, getting it right in camera, right? To where now, when it comes time to edit, you're just enhancing, right? You're enhancing, you're removing, you're changing. The things that you could not control during the photo shoot are now what you're trying to control within the edit, right? That's the whole thing. So that's what we're looking at today, right? They'll get scared, they'll change their ISO first. They'll panic and start adding more flash. They'll panic and start taking away flash. They're not thinking strategically or critically. They're literally just thinking off of emotion, right? And decisions, as we know, based off of emotion are never really good decisions. So your images come out looking bad, they come out looking grainy, come out looking messed up, and you have to do a lot of denoising when editing because you were spraying and praying. You were not getting surgical, right? You were panicking, right? So yeah, it's like the stock market. You panic sell. You're like, oh my God, everything's going bad. And you just make it worse. Like you just scribble all over it, make it worse. Like no, breathe and revert back to your roots. Revert back to the systems that you have set in play, right? Revert back to instinct. So the whole goal is to continue to create instinct. For me, my instinct, what I was telling you guys during the meetup, was 3-3-3. If I ever feel like something's going wrong with a client, I'm going back to my roots. My roots are 3-3-3. That's my roots. Because if everything else goes wrong, I know 3-3-3 is gonna set me free. Like if I done tried something different and all that's not working, all right, cool. If this client's being difficult with me and that's not working, all right, let me go back to my roots. Let me go back to my framework. Let me go back to 3-3-3, right? There's a 3-3-3 in every different framework. The 3-3 in composition framing, there's a 3-3-3 in posing, as you guys saw this weekend, right? There's a 3-3-3 in lighting, right? Which we're gonna get into. But I love threes. The number 3 is just, I don't know what it is, but I like it, right? So they love to blame the lighting when in reality, you as the photographer, it's your fault. If you cannot control that lighting, then you may not be as good of a photographer as you think you are, right? So I like to call it the exposure circle. We'll start off with that rather than calling it the exposure triangle, because I teach it this way because I feel like photography behaves like the human eye, right? So if the idea of photography was created based off of being able to capture a still frame in life, then how are we able to capture the still frame with our camera, right? So what is the idea that we're doing with our camera is capturing that still frame, right? The same way how we retain memories. You guys know the logo's right here, right? You have a brain, you have an SD card. How do we retain memories on our SD card? But how do we capture those memories on our camera, right? How do we retain memories on our brain? How do we capture those memories through our eyes, right? So you capture those memories through your eyes. You capture those memories with your camera, right? So I feel like they act hand in hand. So that's why I don't like calling it the exposure triangle, because ain't no sharp edges in this. I like to call it exposure circle because I feel like it reacts like our eyes. If you guys have watched the video, I already made one on this. I'm gonna go a little bit deeper to continue to help you guys out. So I feel like light enters, right? Then it gets controlled and then it gets processed, right? Through the camera lens, but also through our eyes. I feel like that's why I feel like it works as an eye, right? So there's 2 types of exposure that always exist. You have ambient exposure and you have flash exposure. Oh my God, what are those, right? So ambient exposure is the light that's already in your situation. For me, this is my ambient exposure. This is what's already here. I didn't add this, right? Unless I brought it, obviously. But ambient is the light that's already in the situation once you insert yourself and your camera into that. Right? That is, shutter has to compensate for the lighting in the situation that I'm in, right? The same way how your eyes and pupils get bigger and smaller versus when it's dark or light, your camera needs to do the same thing. The difference is with the camera, you control it. That's the difference. With the camera, you're in control of those settings, right? With your eyes, it's more so auto. Your eyes do it itself. You don't have to make your eyes do it unless you wear glasses to where you want to alter it, blah, blah, blah. We're not getting technical. But those are some things to keep in mind. It's like it works literally like the human's eye. And I feel like if you were to look at it like a triangle, it threw me off. I was learning at the exposure triangle. I'm like, bro, why does this photography dude keep calling it the triangle? And I'm like, then I look it up. I'm like, oh, everyone calls it the triangle. I'm like, but why? I'm like, who started off with that? I'm like, it makes sense, I guess, but it made more sense to me when I made it into a circle, right? So understanding the difference between, understanding the difference between both of them will help build that foundation, right? And it'll help you always stay in control. So you understand ambient exposure, flash exposure. Flash exposure is the lighting that we add into the situation. This is a flash, right? This behind me is a flash, right? These are the lights that aren't even on right now, but once they flash, they add themselves into the situation, all right? So we have ambient exposure, we have flash exposure. Sometimes both of them will come together when you use ambient light to help light a situation, flash to help light, get that extra light out, right? So a lot of the time with your camera, the ambient light will help your camera be able to see. It helps your eye be able to see. But sometimes you need a little bit more light to be able to actually capture, to be able to actually blink, to be able to actually capture that still frame in time, right? So this right here is the exposure circle. I try to make like a little bit of like a better diagram than what I drew. Cause remember, if you guys watched the video, I drew like an eye. I tried to like make it look good, but I feel like it kind of like was like a hit or miss low key at the same time. But yeah, so with the exposure circle, ISO itself, it amplifies the light, right? The ISO is the sensitivity. It's how sensitive your eye is to light, right? It's how sensitive your eye is to light. You have aperture, right? The aperture controls the light and depth, right? So for example, aperture is how wide or narrow your lens, your eye is open, right? So if you have a aperture of f2.8, it becomes your eye is wide open. It's so much more sensitive to that light, right? If the aperture gets deeper or lower, it becomes a lot less sensitive to light, right? So the lower that your aperture, if you go outside and you're shooting at f2.8 and it's a very, very, bright day outside, that's why you'll see where it's very, very overexposed. You have to go up on that aperture, right? Vice versa, it's really, really dark outside. The whole of your camera lens or your pupil, right, is too narrow. It's not letting enough light in, right? So what do you say right now? So yeah, you're not letting enough light in, all right? So you have to open up that aperture at night, right? Close that aperture up during the day, right? And then you have your shutter, which controls time, right? It controls how fast are your lights, how fast are your eyes blinking, right? So you have a higher shutter speed, your eyes are blinking faster to actually be able to capture that light, right? You have a slower shutter speed, your eyes are blinking slower, so it's harder for your eyes to capture that light, that memory, that frame, which is why if you have a lower shutter, you start to see a lot more blur because it took your eye longer to capture, right? Makes sense? Took your eye longer to blink. These are eyes, LOL. These are eyelids right here. Took your eye longer to blink. You're shooting at a shutter 1/10, 1/2, 1/5. It's slower blinks. And when the subject is moving faster, right, then your shutter, you get blur. When your shutter is moving faster than your subject, you don't get blur. This is how you freeze motion, right? And this is all without using flash right now. This is talking about just natural, how your camera works, and then you add flash, then you add ambient, then you think about all these other things. But first you have to understand, how does my camera actually work? Right? If I'm shooting a NASCAR race, or I'm shooting a track meet, or I'm shooting anything that has to do with fast motion, I need a higher shutter because I need my camera to do what? To move faster than the subject. I need my camera to do what? To blink faster than the subject. I need my eye to do what? To blink faster than the subject. So I can freeze that motion and I can capture that frame and save that memory, right? If you're shooting something that is a little bit slower pace, it's still, your shutter still needs to move faster than the subject, but not as fast. Like if someone's just walking, you don't have to be at shutter speed 1/500. They're just walking. They're not running, they're just walking, right? So it's still faster than them. It doesn't have to be that fast though, but it's still faster than your subject. You could be at 1/250. You're still faster than your subject, right? If someone's standing still and they're doing a headshot, you can go over 1/125 because it's still faster than your subject. Subject's not moving. You can go lower and lower when the subject's not moving, all right? If you're shooting buildings, you can shoot 1/1, 1/2 when you got a tripod because the building is not moving, all right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Does that make sense, right? Aperture, once again, before we move on, right, is how wide that pupil is open and accepting of that light, right? How wide your camera lens is open and accepting of that light, right? So it's how wide this camera lens, the hole, right, is open, allowing it to touch that sensor, right? How wide your eyes are open, allowing it to touch that pupil. I don't really know the anatomy of the eye, but get up in there, right? And then you have ISO, which are like some eye drops, right? That make you a little bit more sensitive to light, right? It's not adding brightness. It's just, it's morphing, it's creating artificial light, right? So it's like having eye drops that help you see clearer, but you're not really seeing clearer, which is why you get noise. Because if it was adding brightness or it was making it to where it actually added real light, why would you get noise? You wouldn't get noise. So it's creating artificial light, right? That's not actually there in the situation to help give the seeming idea that it is there when it's not, all right? Hey Taxi, what's good? What's up, G? We're live over on YouTube. Anybody that's watching from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, we're live over on YouTube right now, and I'm talking directly to my class. So we have PNG University, which is a 4-week class every single month. It's a different framework that we're working on. So this month, we are focusing on lighting and camera mastery, lighting and camera control, teaching you how to control your camera no matter what kind of camera you have, and also teaching you how, your camera itself works, and then teaching you how natural light works, capturing that, teaching you how flashing and strobe lighting works, capturing that as well. And to join that, you can go to taxipng.com/mentorship, or you can go to the link in my bio if you want to become a part of the class. But if you don't got no bread, that's fine. You can join the Discord. The link's also in my bio as well. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and go on to the next one, but I'm gonna read these little pieces for y'all in a minute. I got y'all. Bet. Let me see. Oh, I don't have, damn, I should have brought a keyboard right here so I could like, because I had to walk over there, I really could have did it right here, but I really can't. I was about to say, D, can you drop the Discord link in the YouTube chat? Can you put Discord link and then put the little dot and then put the and then paste it in the Discord in the YouTube chat so I could pin it? Appreciate you, my G, if you have the time, if you're able, or somebody that is able. All right, bet. So, does that make sense? Anybody have any questions about that before I continue past the exposure circle? Y'all can still call it a triangle if y'all want to, but I'm not calling that bit a triangle. It's definitely a circle. 1000%. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Go to lens 24-70. No? All right, bet. So there's always two different exposures that are happening. You have ambient exposure, which is where I'll start focusing on the ISO first, aperture second, shutter speed third. You have flash exposure when it comes to flash. I'm focusing on ISO first, aperture second, and then the flash power third, right? My shutter stays locked. I'm not worried about the shutter. My shutter does not control the brightness of the flash. My shutter does not control lighting when it comes to flash, all right? My shutter does control lighting when it comes to ambient light, right? If I'm doing natural, I call it ambient light. I just say, when I use natural, if I use the word natural lighting, I'm talking about ambient light. If I use the word ambient light, I'm talking about natural lighting. Because if I say natural lighting, you guys immediately think, oh, he's outside in the sun. But I'm gonna just say ambient lighting because ambient is whatever lighting is in your setting, situation, scenario before you insert yourself and your camera into it. That's ambient light. If I go to an arcade, the lighting that's shining off of the arcade's games, that is my ambient light that I have to work with. If I'm walking outside into a garden, the ambient light from the sun, the light bouncing off of the pond that may be nearby, that's my ambient lighting. If I walk into a studio and these lights are already on and I can't turn them off, maybe some of you guys rented on Peerspace and you can't turn it off, that is the ambient lighting. All right, so the ambient lighting is when you insert yourself into, thank you, Wicked, I appreciate you. When you insert yourself into a situation, whatever the lighting that's already there, that is your ambient lighting. The flash, the lighting that you add to it, right? Then you have constant lighting. When we get there, we get that in a minute. That's also lighting that you add to it, right? So these are lighting that you worry about, but that becomes ambient because it's not flashing. All right, just hold on, wait a minute, I got y'all. All right, flash power does not control ambient light whatsoever because the ambient light's already there. It's what's already there. When you separate these two mentally, then you can disintegrate all of the confusion. You can get rid of all the confusion, right? So if you can understand ambient and you can understand flash, you shouldn't be confused no more, right? Makes sense. Any questions before I move on to this next slide? I'm about to eat me a Swedish fish, bro. All right. These are real sticky. One moment. I think it'll be that sticky, real sticky, like real. Real life. I feel like I just did a lot of talking. I got my cameras right here. Somebody just join it. Avoid that. But I got some new students today too. We got like three new students in here today. Okay. So the two different exposure systems that we're going to get into is exposure first. Then we'll go to ISO. Then we'll go to shutter, aperture, and things of that nature afterwards. We're going to look at the first one, which is flash exposure, right? So with flash exposure, it's ISO plus aperture plus flash power, right? So ambient exposure is ISO plus shutter plus aperture, right? When I say this equation, this is, Taxi, can I get what? I need to stop reading whatever y'all are saying. It's like my neurodivergent. Can I get urban? I don't even know what that even means. All right. So I gotta stop reading. I gotta focus on the class. I'm sorry, y'all. I apologize. Flash exposure, ISO first, aperture second, flash power third. I got asked this by Dapper and at the meetup. Like, oh, so what do you think about adjusting first when you look at your settings, when it's flash power or when it's when you're posing? I'm like, okay, boom. Because he asked me about posing, but I didn't think about it about lighting. It's like, okay, what do I usually adjust first? So giving it to y'all flat. So shutter controls the ambient light. Flash power controls the flash, obviously, because you have to set it to 1/1, 1/2, 1/3, things of that nature. ISO affects both of these things. So it affects ambient and it affects flash exposure, right? And you have, think about it, when it comes to, if you guys don't already know this, can I write this on here? I don't think I can write it on here. Nope. So the closer that your flash power is to 1, I'm gonna just throw this in here because we're not on it fully yet, but if your flash power is at 1/1, that is like the highest flash power possible, right? It's 1 out of 1. So these are fractions. I really don't like that they're fractions and that it's backwards, so it doesn't really make sense because the bigger that the bottom number gets, so the bigger that the number gets, right? How I learned it is the less light. You would think that the number is bigger, why is there not more power coming out? That's what messed me up for some years, right? But the smaller that number gets, that bottom number, right, the higher the flash power. And it was like throwing me off until I started understanding this one thing, that it gets closer to 1. So the closer to 1, that's the easy way for me to explain it, the closer to 1 your flash power is, the higher the power. The further away from 1 that your flash power is, the lower the power. And also flash distance matters. We'll get into that as well. So if I'm closer to someone, then my flash power would be lower than it would be if I was further from someone. If I'm further from them, the flash needs to travel further to hit the subject to actually affect how they look and how they're lit, right? So if I'm right in front of you, I'm not shooting at 1/1, but if I'm like 13 feet back, I might shoot at 1/1 to get it to hit you, right? If I'm right in front of you, I might be at 1/54, 1/128 because I'm closer to you. So I don't need as much flash power, especially if I'm aiming it directly at you and not bouncing off something. I don't need as much flash power. We'll get into that in further classes. See, this is my neurodivergence. Like, I'd be like, oh, this would be something good to tell them right now. Like, I want to teach them this right now, but I really want to teach them this. And that's my problem. It's like, I'd be like, oh, but I want to give out this game because I just came up with this idea. I just thought about this. I got to keep getting back on track. Nayo, your shirt came in today. I got to print it, and then I got to text you and get your address. Yeah, your shirt came in today. The orange one? Yeah. All right, so if you don't separate these mentally, then you will always feel confused. You have to figure out what I'm dealing with first. It's always what it comes down to. It's like how I was telling you guys with posing last month. I was like, first you have to identify the client base. Is she an awkward client or is she a prepared client, right? Now, boom, you have to come back to here. Am I in ambient light or am I using flash? Am I using ambient or flash? And then you go based off that. I'm using ambient, cool. This is the play I'm gonna run. I'm using flash, cool. This is the play I'm gonna run. So you have to have in your mind the plays that you're running. And I'm giving you guys exactly what to have in the back of your head to think about as you go into these different situations where you might not know. You know what I'm saying? Where you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to change. So you don't go into fight or flight. So you could just go revert back right to instinct. and get right surgical. All right, be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm using ambient, bet. I'm gonna use ambient, I'm gonna do this. So you could move with confidence. The entire goal here is to gain that confidence, right? If you don't have confidence, you really can't be a surgical shooter because you have nothing, you don't have a floor to base yourself off of. You have to have a base, right? When you start everything, you need to have a base. You need to know, all right, I'm gonna start from here and I'm gonna grow from here. At every single shoot, you have to have a base. So you have to understand the lighting to be able to have a base. When it comes to ISO is not true brightness. It's not like the brightness on your phone where it makes it brighter and clearer to see. That's not what it does, right? It's like artificial and it just kind of amplifies the light that's already there. It does not give you light or create light because if you look at the actual space and then you look at your camera screen, yes, brighter on your camera screen, but in real life, it did not just add light to you, all right? It's not brightness, right? It just amplifies it and kind of like it makes it look more intense, right? So ISO does not create light, it just amplifies that light. Think of ISO like, the volume on your phone speaker, right? It does not create the music, it just increases the signal of the music. It also doesn't make it clearer. Like if the music was low and the audio wasn't good, then when you turn it up higher, you think the audio will get better? No, it didn't increase the quality of it. All it did is amplify it. It increased the signal. It made it, louder in a sense, right? So studio discipline that I think about for myself for sure, I use 100 ISO for maximum quality. And then my on location rule, these are my rules, things that I do. You guys always ask, right? I'm giving y'all what I do, right? So on location, I never go above 640 on my ISO, right? When I put in caps for my camera, what I mean is if you figure out your cameras, right? If you look up your camera or whatever, you can figure out your camera's native. It's called a native ISO, right? So somebody say their camera brand right now, so I can tell you your native ISO. Sony, which one though? I'm about to tell you right now. Canon T5, Sony A7 III. I'm gonna do A7 III, then I'm gonna do a T5, right? So for the Sony A7 III, the native photo ISO for you, hold on, it's loading. Same, 100 and 640. So 640 and 100 is yours, right? So that's wicked. So 100 and 640, we have the same one. So 100 and 640 is our natives, right? When you start to go past that 640, you start to increase and start to allow more light to be in there. When you asked and you were like, oh, even at nighttime, like are you still allowing it even at nighttime? Yes. Why? Because I have flash. If I'm shooting with flash, that flash is gonna save my ash. Ooh, tight shit. But if I have flash, it's gonna save me. Right? It helps me out. If I feel like I don't want to use as much flash power, then I'll go up on the ISO, but you have to understand what you're sacrificing, right? I'll sacrifice everything else before I sacrifice my ISO. Your ISO is like your bottom line, that's your baby, right? The moment you start sacrificing your ISO, you start sacrificing quality. Right? So if I go down as far as I can on my F, if it's f2.8 or if you got an f4 lens, you go down to f4 as low as you can go, right? And you go as low as you can on your shutter without sacrificing the blur, right? Because we never want to sacrifice quality, right? So if I'm going down to 1/125 with my shutter trying to sacrifice because it's dark or it's late and the person's moving fast, I gotta go back up on my shutter because I can't sacrifice quality, right? Blurriness and noise are two things we never want in our image, especially when we're able to control the light. If we're able to control the lighting, we got an 8200 or we have a constant light or whatever it is that we can add to the situation, right? Our flash, right? Or our strobe, so we can add into the situation. Then we don't want to sacrifice those things, which is quality, right? And the things that give you a quality image is not having blur and not having noise, right? Blur comes with shutter. If your shutter is too low, you will get blur, right? If your ISO is too high, you will get noise. Right? The last thing I will ever sacrifice is my ISO. I'll sacrifice my shutter a little bit, but my ISO is like, boy, native ISO is what you would, boom, let me go read that one more time. Say it out loud, Nao, real quick. Oh, can you say it out loud or are you basically?
So your native ISO is what you want to stay between when you're shooting on location?
Yes. So most cameras have two native ISOs. So native ISOs like bases, right? Like where your camera performs the best at, right? So we're talking in terms of photography. If anybody's like, oh, but videography is like, that's a whole different world, gang. We in photo right now. Your native ISO you have 100, which is your lowest that you usually can go, and that's probably like the best to try to shoot at, so that you have the least amount of noise possible, right? And then you said that you had the Canon T5. See, so these are ISOs that I stay below, right? So I know that my native is 640. Anything below that is going to keep me pretty good without having any real noise in there, right? So you want to stay below that. So for you, hold on, bro, it just gave me the wrong thing. All right, yours is 642. Yours is 640. The R7 Dapper, you're 800. Yours is 800. So you got to stay below 800. For the Canon R7, you got to stay below 800. For the T5, you got to stay below 640. All right, so these are ISOs you want to stay below before you start introducing any form of grain, right? Any form of grain or noise into your situation, right? Yes, when you had more light, it'll be a lot harder to notice that grain. But when it's dark in your image and you're going above 640 trying to create extra light, it will be very, very noticeable. And now a lot of your images are gonna have to get denoised. And denoising is a very crucial and aggravating ass process, right? Because you have to do it per image, one by one, and it's like, and then you start making it look AI. Your people look unreal. Their skin looks messed up. It's a lot. So it's like the goal is to get it right in post. If you can stay below these settings, I feel like everybody should just stay below 640. I swear, like I don't care what camera you got. If you stay below 640, gang, you gonna be solid with like a majority, if not all of your shoots, bro. Because if you know that's your rule, is I gotta stay below 640, and if I need to, I just add more flash power. You're golden, bro. Like you're golden. I don't care what time of day you're shooting. If you just add more flash, or you compensate or sacrifice the other settings before sacrificing your ISO, you will not get blurry images. All right. So I never go above 640, right? For my camera specifically, especially when I'm shooting with flash, and especially when I'm in studio. Like when I'm in studio, boy, there's no reason. Like unless I'm like doing something overly creative where I want it to be overexposed on purpose. Outside of that, I'm never going above 640. It's not needed, right? So past your native ISO, the noise will increase. Dynamic range will also decrease, right? Your skin tones will begin to suffer, and then noise equals a loss of control. Like I told you guys, the entire thing here is to be in control of your camera, to control your camera, right? So the goal is to stay below that so you stay in control. When you start to increase noise or start to go up on your settings like willy-nilly, you're losing control. You're reacting with emotion, right? Oh my God, it's too dark in here, let me go up my ISO. You're also doing it because that's the easy thing to do. You could simply change your flash power and then start to compensate your settings for that. But you feel like it's too complicated to change your flash power, so you change your ISO because it's the easiest dial to touch. I know because I've done it, right? Your ISO is the easiest dial to get to, so you'll crank your ISO before going and changing the flash power because it's easier to get to. And I know a lot of us are guilty for that, right? So do not react with emotion, right? One, don't wild out. Like when you feel like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. So you just start doing random stuff. Revert back to these things. Revert back to your, instinct. Create that instinct for yourself to know like, oh yeah, boom, I'm shooting ambient, I'm gonna do this. Oh yeah, boom, I'm gonna shoot this, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna sacrifice my ISO, no matter what. I'm not gonna sacrifice my ISO, right? Unless it's utmost needed, bro. Like if you can't do nothing else, your flash is broke, your flash done broke, you don't got no more flash, or your flash done died, which in reality, the 8200 do not be dying. So if your flash done died and you don't got nothing else, and you gotta crank the ISO and you're okay with sacrificing it, you have to understand what you're sacrificing, right? I feel like that's the most thing that comes down is like, understand what you are sacrificing before you sacrifice it. Because people will crank their ISO like, oh yeah, it can go that high, why not use it that high? It could go that high, but you shouldn't be using it that high, right? Understand what you're sacrificing. Shutter speed is time control. Like I told you guys, we're gonna break it down even more. So shutter speed controls the time and the speed of the light that's allowed in, right? So that you can capture that image. Like I was telling you guys, if you're shooting and you want your shutter to move faster than your subject, right? You want your shutter to move faster than your subject. That's the whole goal. My shutter needs to move faster than my subject is moving, all right? So in studio, I'm 1/250 in my shutter, right? Between 125 to 250, but I'm usually probably never anything below 250. Like I love 250. Like I think I love how 250 makes my images come out as well. Even if I'm in studio, out of studio, I love 250 because it's like I can't always predict what my clients are gonna do. Sometimes they might spin a little bit, or like it might be like a toddler in here moving around. My shutter gotta move faster than them, right? So I'm at 250. My shutter gotta move faster than my subject. They might want to spin, they might want to walk, they might want to move. And my shutter also needs to move faster than the follicles of hair on my client too. So I love 250 because it'll capture those hairs in movement. It'll capture the hair in motion. It'll capture the arms. It'll capture any little small thing. It'll stop that motion. It'll freeze that motion. Who just sent me something? Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everybody. Oh man, thank you guys for the roses, bro. I love y'all. Thank y'all, man. I appreciate everybody. Thank y'all. I didn't know there's that many people watching me right now. What's up? What's up, y'all? Yes, I'm live. This is not pre-recorded. I am recording it though. It's not pre-recorded though, but thank y'all for watching, man. If y'all go to YouTube, y'all can see the full thing. I'm showing the slides and everything for y'all and stuff like that over there. But I'm talking directly to my students though, so they can like talk back, ask questions, things of that nature. We just had a live class on Saturday. We do one at the end of every month in a different city and state. Next month, well, this month we're in Miami. Next month we're gonna be in. Where we at next month? Oh, Atlanta, March, April. Yeah, we're in Atlanta next month. Month after that, we're in Phoenix, Arizona, and New York, Texas, Houston, Texas. Yeah, bro, it's coming, bro. Cali, got a lot going on. So we're taking it worldwide, or at least America-wide first, and then we're gonna go worldwide. So with that same shutter speed, why am I always at 250? Because it eliminates any ambient, any ambient contamination, which basically means my brain works crazy. I use the word contamination, LOL. Like now I'm thinking about like why did I type that? All right, so, but any extra light, it beats it out. It helps beat it out, like right. So like it helps beat out any of that extra ambient light that does not need it when you're using flash. So that's why I like 250 as well. And then it also like helps still freeze the motion as well. When I'm on location, my shutter controls my background brightness and my flash exposure will always remain consistent, right? So you guys are like, oh my God, what does that mean? So I expose for the background first. I don't have my shutter, I don't have my trigger on. I take a picture of how I want it to look and I'm changing my aperture, right? And my shutter, well, we're focused on shutter right now. My shutter aperture and my settings, dependent of how I want the image to look and be exposed, right? So I change my aperture, change my shutter to get my image to look how I want before I put my flash on. After you put your flash on, now the background is gonna look exactly how you wanted it to look. And all you gotta do is change your flash power now, right? That's exposing for the background, right? So shutter controls the background brightness. Flash exposure will always remain consistent. One important thing to remember is that the shutter does not change flash brightness, right? The shutter does not change the flash brightness when you're within sync, right? What does within sync means? When your camera trigger is synced to your flash, when it's actually on and turned on after you expose for the background and it's on and turned on, that shutter ain't gonna change nothing with the flash power. The flash power stay the same, right? So you know how the shutter and the flash power kind of emulate each other? Yeah, 1/64, 1/28, 1/132. Yeah, that's the flash power though. That's a totally different thing. It does not change your shutter in your camera. It doesn't have an effect over your shutter in your camera, right? So that's something that you gotta keep in mind and remember, right? So even though you're changing your shutter, it's not gonna affect the power of your flash. It will affect how it looks, but it won't affect the power of your flash. Some people think like, oh, if I change my shutter, my flash power not changing. It's not gonna change the power of your flash. It's only gonna change, it's only gonna change your how it looks on your camera, but it's not going to change how the flash emits onto your subject or to the background, right? And this is where a lot of photographers get confused because it looks the same. Your shutter and your flash power look the same, so they get confused. And I feel like that's where you got to like separate those as well. If you guys understand all of these fundamentals, these basics, things like this, it'd be so much easier for you to capture images, so much easier for you to actually, get surgical and get things done. Like it'll be so much easier, right? So when it comes to aperture, LOL. When it comes to aperture, that kind of comes with precision and depth, right? Oh my God, what's precision mean? Think about the eye, you know what I'm saying? Like how clear you can see through them eyes, precision, right? So aperture controls your light intake, your depth of field, and your sharpness, right? So depth of field is like depth. Think about depth. What do we learn in composition and framing about depth? Foreground, midground, background, right? It controls just about how much depth is seen within those layers. That's really it. It controls how much depth is seen within those layers. It makes it go from being flat to being more dynamic. That's literally it, right? Dynamic range, what does that mean? That's literally all that it is, right? It makes your image not look flat, and look a little bit more dynamic. That's it. That's all it does, right? So why do I use flat Fs myself? So when I'm in studio, I use something called a flat F, right? I'm about to call you Nail. So my flat Fs, if you guys remember, I'm like, oh my God, flat, flat, flat. Oh, go ahead, Nail. I didn't mean to lower your hand.
So aperture would just say it would kind of be like how far back would be clear. That makes sense what I'm saying?
I like that. Yes. So like when you're adjusting your aperture, it controls the background for real. So for example, when somebody has a lower aperture, that's why you'll see blur in that background versus when they go up on the aperture, it gets a little bit more clear. So it controls how much back behind that subject is clear versus not clear within focus. You know what I'm saying? How much detail you see in that background, in a sense. Make sense?
Yeah.
Anybody else got a question like that? Go ahead, Dap.
Hey, text. So I'm kind of looking through it here, and I meant to raise my hand earlier for the equations. I guess is trying to understand for which equations let me fix my question. Also, between the equations and this one, it's like you said, do not sacrifice ISO if you can, right? And then if I want to boost the ambient light to make my photos a little bit more natural, I will use the ambient equation. And so if I wanted the flash equation, if I want to be a little bit more stronger flash, because I've noticed that when I shoot my flashes on my flash, a lot of my photos look more dramatic especially my gym shoots. If you look at my last 2-3 posts, it is definitely high flash, so they look magazine editorial, which is nice. But I'm trying to figure out how to step out of that and make it more natural shoots, right?
Yeah.
While still incorporating at least a little bit of flash because I need light.
You got to go. So exactly. Exactly how I said with the ant. So you in particular would take off your flash trigger. Take a picture of how it looks without the flash, like exposed for just the subject, and then add the flash trigger back and add a little bit. So start at your highest your highest flash power possible, which is not high as in like more power, high as in 1/128 or 1/256. Start there and then work your way down until you get a little bit of that flash that's added in how you like. Because what people will do is they'll try to start setting all their settings all at once. It's hard to do every setting all at once. Just how I was thinking about posing. It's easier to pose the bottom and then pose the top. It's easier to set your camera settings up and then set your flash up, or vice versa, right? So I would say set your camera settings up first without your flash even connected, turned off, whatever you have to do to make it not be triggering or not on. Set that up how you want it to look inside of your camera within your flash setting, within your base settings. So 640 shutter. If it's dark inside of the gym, 640, right? ISO. You got 250 shutter or 125 shutter. All right, boom. And you have your aperture. How much of the background do you want to be seen? Do you want the entire thing in focus, or do you want to have less? So you can do 2.8 or you can do 4. Go ahead.
A 4.
Mm-hmm. And then now you change your flash power. So if you feel like your flash power, like, oh, it's not that much flash coming on them, now you can increase your flash distance or your flash power. So if you're at a soft flash power, if it's 1/128 and that's low, and you feel like it's enough, a little bit of flash in there, but you want just a little bit, maybe make the flash closer or go up one more higher. So 1/64. Maybe 1/64 is too much. All right, now change your distance of flash, because there's a pretty big gap between 1/64 and 1/128. It's a really big gap. There's a lot in between those two flash powers. And when you jump from 1/128 to 1/64, it's like, damn, I got so much more flash. Increase the distance of that flash, or decrease the distance of that flash if you're at 1/128 or 1/64.
Okay, so just so
go ahead.
To confirm it, by confirming, I have to regurgitate it back at you. So let me just make sure I'm saying it right. Take my flash off. Put my aperture and my shutter speeds are kind of what I'm looking for, right? Then I'll put my ISO up to where it makes sense without my flash, right? Then I'll put
without going over 640. Without going over 640.
Or 800 for mine, like you said.
Yeah.
800.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'll take my ISO back down to 100, insert my flash, start at 1/256, and kick it up until it makes sense, until it looks good to what I'm looking for.
Leave your ISO where it's at.
Wouldn't that make it too bright if I go up? Like if I...
Because you're starting your flash up at 256.
Okay.
Really, really low flash power. So if you take the picture, so before you turn your flash on, take the picture and get your lighting to look how you want it to look on your subject. And then in your mind, you're like, okay, I just want a little bit of flash here, right? And then you insert your flash, because if you go back to 100 ISO and then insert your flash, you're still gonna get a dramatic look because it's a lot. You're still gonna get a dramatic look. You're still get a dramatic look. Yeah.
I see what you mean. This is like
you're trying to get rid of that dramatic look. So that's how I would get rid of that dramatic look.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Like if I went back to 100 and then kicked my flash up, that is the more dramatic look. But if I keep my ISO, then I can get the more natural look.
You can get a more natural look. Yeah.
That's making sense. Appreciate you.
Because it's kind of essentially like you're starting over. So if you like go back to 100 ISO, you really just started over. Like you just put your flash on and start it back over. Leave your settings exactly where they're at, and then put your flash on and only change your flash power. Like do one thing, then do the second thing. Don't do 1, 2, 1, 2. Nope. Do one complete, put that thing back on there, and then do the second thing, and now your shoot should be good. All right, go ahead, Kenny.
Yo, my question was more so like with the aperture, because you say stay on flat, but like for my last show I just did yesterday, like I was trying to up my shutter just to try it out to make it look a little different, and I liked it. I think I was at like 6.3. I think I liked it, but like I'm not saying that what you're saying is like wrong. I'm just trying to understand what's the difference. Like why do you say flat is better than like a random number? Because I just went up and then I started going down until it started looking good, and then 6.3 was just like what I like for that moment. But I still want to know like why you think flat is better than the the random number.
I was hoping for this exact question because I read it, and when I was making this, I was like, I want someone to ask me this. All right, so the reason why I say flats is because one, for me, they're easier to remember. That's one, right? So they're easier to remember because there's only so many of them. There's not a lot, right? And also for you were out on location. So I think my next thing says that. Did my next one say that or no? Yeah, studio on location. Yeah, it says it right there. All right. But when I'm in studio, right, and I'm shooting flat apertures, right, only. If I'm out of studio and on location, then I will go to my 2.8, 3.2, f.6. Those are fine because you have to get more meticulous. You have a lot less control over your light, right? So when you're in studio, you have a lot more control over your light because I can control how much comes in or out of these flashes. When I'm out on location, I can't control what's going on outside. Even if it's dark and I got one flash, I still can't control it, right? Because there might be a street light on, there might be a this on, there might be a road. Somebody might drive by and got their bright lights on. Can't control those things, right? So with those points allow you to get a lot more meticulous and exact with how you want your camera setting, with how you want your lighting to look from your camera settings. So when you're out of studio, using the points, that's fine, because you have to get it exactly where you want it at. Right? So like for example, between F5 and F8, there's hella in between. Like the next flat after F5 is F8, and there's like 6.1, 5.2, 3. All those different ones before you get to 8. So there's so many different apertures for you to select to get exactly how you want it to look. Right? So when I'm on location or I'm doing lifestyles, I will definitely use others. But when it comes to in studio, I'm sticking to flat Fs because they're so much easier for me to remember. Because if I'm in front of a client, I don't want to be like, damn, which aperture do I, especially if I'm in studio, I want to create a system to where it's like I know what my base is. All right, bet. I start off at F4. Boom. How's the F4 look? Need less light. Boom. I'm gonna go to F5. Ooh, F5 doesn't look right. All right, boom. Go to F8. All right, F8. We chilling. We rocking out. You know what I'm saying? So it like creates a system in my head for me not to forget, to remember. But when you're outside doing nightlife, lifestyle, or even like midday, it's gonna be a lot different because the conditions are what you can't control. So when I explain these things to you guys, it's gonna be two totally different worlds, right? So it's the world where you can't control what's happening, which is outside of your studio or outside of a studio. Can't control the lighting, can't control the setup, can't control wind, can't control anything. You can't really control how everything's gonna look. That's why I was telling you about the white balance, using auto white balance or using different one of those presets. Don't ask a question about white balance, y'all. I'm about to get into there. But That's what I was telling you. And I was telling you like one of the last meetups, like the white balance, when you're outside and you can't control if a cloud want to come and pull up. Like that's why I be using that auto, because I can't control if a cloud want to pull up, you know? So when I'm outside, you have to get a lot more meticulous, because there's a lot more factors that you can't control, right? But when I'm in studio, I'm sticking to these flats because I can control this. So this exact equation that I'm talking about, particularly right now, is specifically for when I'm in studio with these flat Fs. When I'm out of studio, you want a blurry background sometimes, so you want to go f2.8 or lower, right? If you want that, like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to not go flat F when you're outside, because you may want to blur, right? Or you may want to do a big group of people, but maybe it's too bright for you to go all the way to f8. You need to go to f5.2 or 5.6, right? Okay, it makes more sense to do that. So you do little things like that, but these are my bases that I stick to. So my 3 that I stick to, f4, f5, f8, and then I move up or down from there. So that can even be a thing that you could use too when you're doing lifestyle sessions. All right, bet. So f4, f5, f8, now I can move around from there. Let me see how I look at f8. Oh, I don't really like that. Let me go down a little bit. Oh, I don't really like that. Let me go up a little bit. Oh, actually, let me see, f5. Okay, boom, I don't really like that. Let me go down a little bit. Okay, 3.2, 3.6. Oh, okay, I don't like that a little bit. Let me go down to f4. F4, so like these are starting points. There we go. These are good starting points when on location, right? But these are good finishing points when in studio, if that makes sense. So these are good apertures to use for fact in studio. But when you're on location, these are good starting points to start from. Does that make sense? I kind of talked around it, but I talked at it at the exact same time. I was trying to say it 5 different ways so that way you can understand it.
No, not gonna lie, yeah, I get it. Like you was answering like as you was going like the questions I was gonna ask. So, like I get it. You saying like in studio them like you said starting points because you can control everything else because you outside them your starting points, and then depending on how which one you like more, that's when you build off of that
That's the
because
one I go up or
it's
down
more that
from.
go into it for
Exactly.
outside.
Exactly. So
Yeah, I
like
get it.
I try to create those systems for y'all. Like how I was telling y'all, you have to revert back to your intuition, right? Your instinct. So these are creating instincts for you. It's like, oh my God, like if you get nervous, your muscle memory should be like, let me start at F4. If you get nervous, your muscle memory should be like, all right, let me go to F5. You get nervous, all right, let me go to F8. Like if you get nervous, your muscle memory should revert back to doing these things. That's the whole goal, because we can't control nerves, but we can control instinct, right? So if we practice enough for the instincts, so that when fight or flight kicks in, we revert back to it. It's like somebody who does taekwondo or something, and you get threatened. You're not thinking that you just chop somebody in the neck, but it's the same thing. Clients then came, you're over here shooting things of that nature. It helps you do it quickly, right? It helps you do it quickly. I'm telling y'all. So it helps cut down the time and the guesswork that it takes. It takes too much brain power, right? Especially when you're in front of a client, you're nervous, you don't know what to do. You got to revert back to the systems. You got to revert back to the equation. You got to revert back to these different things. So 3 through 3, you got to revert back to it, right? So that's why I try to like create this for y'all so you can revert back to it. Any more questions, anybody? Y'all got that? Made sense, right? I try to create this so y'all could. It's like kind of like
It makes sense.
But I remember like when in school, like it would help me out a lot. Like, bro, teacher give you like kind of like not a study guide, but something that like you study, and then when you're in the field going over it, you remember that thing. Like you be like, oh, this is what this happened. Oh, this makes sense now. Like it's like once you actually get in, once you get into an instance where you need it, you got it, and it's in the back of your head. You're like, oh yeah, bro, I'm gonna revert back to this. Like, oh, I don't know what to do right now. Like if you get presented with a new client, right? New vibes, new ideas. All right, you know that last month Taxi was like, there's 2 types of clients. You got an awkward and prepared. All right, that's in the back of your head. Is this client awkward? Or is this client prepared? Oh, she seems awkward. All right, bet. Let me go 3 to 3. All right, bet. So I know the first 3 poses I want to do. I know the first 3 sitting, 3 down. I know those vibes that I want to do. All right, that makes sense. I mean, let me revert back to the system, right? This client's prepared. All right, let me revert to her this way. So like you categorize what kind of situation that you're in, whether you're in studio or on location, and then you break it down from there to let you all going along with your system, right? Because systems, bruh, that makes life so much easier. It makes you successful as a photographer, and it makes everything just flow to where you're no longer guessing. You're actually like, executing. You're no longer guessing, right? So those are those. Why do I do flats? I do flats Fs because they're consistent. They help me keep consistency in my images and how my images look. So when I do flat Fs, right, and not 3.2s, blah, 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 whatever, my images are able to look a lot more consistent and stick within a certain style. and just kind of like help build that. So I can know I can build off of that. If I start with this flat F, I can move it how it's needed, but I start at those flats, right? Very easy to repeat because I remember it. If I'm doing this every single photo shoot, it's gonna be a lot easier. I know like, oh, last time when I shot and it had this lighting condition, I used F4. But last time I shot and it had this lighting condition, I used F8. Oh yeah, this feels like the same lighting condition, I'm gonna use F8. So creating those systems while shooting, so I feel like it kind of helps too. Like especially like if a lot of you guys aren't getting a lot of bookings or a lot of shoots right now, it's great. Not saying it's great for y'all, but I mean it's good because if you understand these things, when you do start to get a lot, you know what you're learning. Like you know what to look out for while shooting. Because like when I was doing it and I was first starting, it's like I'm just willy-nilly. I'm just like trying everything. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just doing stuff. But if you have a framework or something to revert back to, or some form of like, you know, instinct to be able to call on or look back at, or a mental, you know, checklist, then you know exactly what you're doing while you're shooting. So while you're shooting, you know exactly what you're supposed to be learning, what you're looking out for. And it'll help you progress so much faster, bro. It's like, it'll take all of that guesswork out of it for you, which is why I'm doing this for y'all. So y'all could just be like, oh yeah, boom, Taxi said 3-3, hell yeah. I was doing 3-3, not even knowing what the hell I was doing. I was just figuring it out within the same thing. And I started noticing that, oh, I did the same thing after each client. Let me figure out how I could teach this now because I do the exact same things. So I'm like, okay, how can I put what I do in my system, in my, you know, zero to surgical into, you know, a framework or into a slide deck or into a class to help you guys go from zero to surgical, right? So for on locations, like it says right here for you guys, so when I'm doing single portraits of a regular person, I'm gonna use f2.8, right? This is when I don't use flat Fs, when I'm on location. With groups, I increase the aperture, right, for better coverage as well. So I'll use f2.8 for a single person. I might use f3.2 or 3.6 for a couples. Then I'll try to f4. If f4 doesn't work, boom, I'm going up, you know what I'm saying? Things like that for more people. But usually, when I'm doing single person portraits, it's f2.8. I'm gonna talk to y'all in a minute about, oh my God, but what if it's daytime? But if it's nighttime, I'm using f2.8 guaranteed for lifestyle, for that depth, right? So aperture has to match your intention. If the intent, right, is to focus solely on one person when you're doing lifestyle or whatever, even like non-lifestyle, you're using f2.8, your aperture matches your intent, right? If you want one person focused, your aperture needs to be low. If you want everybody in focus, aperture needs to be higher, right? Aperture matches your intent. And if you want to do an f2.8 and it's really, really bright outside, then you guys will use this thing called an ND filter. Oh my God, what's an ND filter? It's a neutral density filter. Did I have it on here somewhere? Yeah, I'll talk about it in a minute. Bet. So studio shooting, within a studio, a studio is a controlled environment, and then on location is a uncontrollable environment. But it's called, I want to call it an adaptive environment, an environment that you have to adapt to, where you have to be resilient. You can't let them stop you. You got to figure it out. So you have to be adaptable when it comes to, you know, working in an on location setting, right? But then studio environment is a more controlled setting, right? So in studio, my order that I go in, you know, changing settings, like I told you guys earlier, I change my ISO first. My ISO is gonna be at 100, right? My shutter is gonna be at 250. Then I choose a flat aperture. And then I set my flash power to match those settings, right? So for different types of settings, modifiers start to come in play because I use a lot of the same settings when I'm shooting in studio. The modifiers start to change, right? Whether I use a reflector, whether I use a beauty dish, we're gonna get into a class, we're gonna do a class on different modifiers, don't ask right now. So whether I use a reflector, whether I use a beauty dish, whether I use a grid, whether I don't use a grid, whether I use a softbox, whether I use, you know, a parabolic, whether I use a square dish, it's all these different things depending on whether I use a lantern. Everything's gonna change based off of use case, right? But my settings, majority of the time when I'm in studio, really don't change. It's really just be flash power and lighting modifier, right? So ISO 100, shutter 1/250. Then I choose a flat aperture that matches the look they're going for, right? If this client is like, oh my God, I want, you know, oh my gosh, I want it to be a little bit darker, or like, oh, I want low exposure, what they be saying, right? I might use a higher aperture, and then I may use a grid, or I may use a specific flash, like power and lighting modifier that goes with the vibe they're going for. That's when modifiers start to matter. after you master your lighting, and not even necessarily master because you can always learn more. After you understand your light, you can master your camera though. You can always master your camera. You might not be able to master lighting, but you will definitely be able to master your camera. After you master your camera and the settings and you understand it, like the back of your hand, it'll become a lot easier for you to be able to implement these new things, right? So I would say, learn one thing, lock in on one thing, and then implement micro things like, oh, boom, let me try to do this with a light. Let me try to change the lighting modifier for this. Let me try to boom, boom, because you already locked in at one thing. You're trying to learn everything at once, bro, you will burn out, gang. You're trying to learn camera settings, lighting, flash power, lighting modifiers, all at once, you're gonna burn out, okay? So in studio, we build the world that we want, and then we make adjustments to the light. That's all we did. We just adjust the light, right? Because in studio, we control everything. It's our world. In studio, you are in full control. That's also why a lot of natural light photographers, it'd be hard for them to get in studio because they don't know what the hell they're doing. They'd be like, damn, what the hell is this? Like, where's the light at? Like, they're like, we gotta create the light. What you mean by create the light? Gotta use a flash. Use a what? Use a flash. You see what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that. In the studio, it allows you to get very surgical because you create the world, right? It is your style, right? A lot of people use that. You could use outside like the studio, create your style too, create your own world, however you want to do with that. But when it's in the studio, you can get very, very surgical because you have full control over all the lighting. I could turn every light off in here and we'll be vibing. Is it gonna turn off? Alexa, turn studio lights off. Oh no, never mind, she might not do it. Alexa, stop. She connected to the Wi-Fi?
Studio seems offline.
Yeah, studio's offline, bro. She vibing, bro. We ain't talking to her right now. We need vibing right now. I was trying to show y'all something, but we ain't vibing with her right now. She just had this update, bro, and she got a new voice. Like, why she got a new voice? Who said that Alexa needs a new voice? Like, why you got a new voice? Like, who did that? Overly aggravating. She was talking to me real, like, proper and stuff now. Like, bro, I miss the old Alexa. Like I was saying, though. Studio, you build a world and it allows you to get very, very surgical. You can create what you want to see, right? So when it comes to on location, it's more of an adaptive environment. You adapt, right? I can't stand the voice either. Thank you, okay, it's not, bruh, that new voice it'd be itching. And it's like, why do you say like so many words before you say what you want to say? Like, she'd be like, it's a beautiful and sunny day outside today in Florida. The weather is a high of boom. Bro, just tell me what the weather is. I'm like, what time is it? Oh, the time actually isn't that late. It's currently right now 8 o'clock. Like, bro, just say the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, she be saying all this other stuff. No one asked for all of that. Why y'all gave her this update that no one asked for? Bro, like, what? Sorry, back to the main thing. On location is more adaptive shooting. It's an adaptive to that environment, right? So on location, my order bro, I'm sorry, bro, I'll be stuttering. The order that I go in is I evaluate what my environment is. Oh my God, what do you mean by that? I evaluate what my environment is. I want to see, is it cloudy outside? Is it dark? Is it light? Is it daytime? Is it nighttime? What time of the day is it? What that sun looking like? What does my ambient light look like, right? If you're in an adaptive environment, what does the ambient light look like in your environment? What does the natural light look like in your environment, right? Ambient light. Oh my God, what does that mean? I told you, but I'm gonna say it again because you have to hear it multiple times to remember it, right? The ambient light is a light that is there before you insert yourself and your camera into it. Before you insert yourself and your camera into that situation, that is the ambient light, all right? The light that's already there, already turned on, already here, arcade, the lighting from the games that's already there before you put your nosy ass in their business, LOL. That is the ambient light, all right? So then I set my flash power based on the scene. Oh my God, you do what? You set your flash power first? Yeah, sometimes I do. I ain't gonna lie. I'm never gonna lie. I do sometimes. I do. If I don't really care about how the background look, like to wanting to expose it, and I do want that dramatic look. I know Dap was talking about how he wanted to get rid of it, so I was telling him how to get rid of it. But if I want that dramatic look, which a lot of the time when I'm doing lifestyle, I be wanting the dramatic look. Like, 'cause a lot of my clients be like, oh, can you make it darker in the back, and you can make it light in the front? Like, I want it to be dark. Like, you know what I'm saying? They be wanting to look dark in the back. They want them to be light. So I had to change it based off that, right? So if I want the background to be lit up, or I want to see the background, I will expose for the background first. If I don't want the background to be lit up and I want it to be darker and I want to beat out that light, I set my flash power first and then set my settings to match my flash power, right? What does that mean? So I set my flash power first and then I adjust my camera settings to match. I still keep my ISO under 640, right? And I set my aperture based on my subject, right? I set my subject count and style, like number of my subject and count wise, and the style is what I'm looking to go for. So if I want a blurrier image, but it's a group photo shoot, I'm gonna stay below f4, like f3.2 maybe, you know what I'm saying, playing it like that. Because you have too many people and you're f2.8, you start to lose focus points, and it's like, it's hard to bring back, because you really kind of can't bring it back for real. So I'll do that. And on location, you basically match the world and shape the world. So you match what the lighting looks like kind of like in the world within your camera, which is when I say exposure to background, and then you shape it, right? So you can start to get creative where you're at on location, right? So like I was telling Dap, you set your flash power, you expose for the background first, and then you're able to set the flash up based on how you want the creativeness, the creativity to look. If you guys are wondering, also at the end of this month, I'll be doing a one light mastery class. It's gonna be in Miami, and it's gonna be a one light mastery. So teaching you guys how to master your AD200, all right? So yeah, tickets are available right now for you guys to be able to get that as well. But one light mastery, teaching you guys how to master the AD200. I was like, what do I know how to do that like no one else really knows? I'm like, not saying no one else knows, but like, I'm like, I really swear by this AD200, and I'm like, what if I taught them how to master the AD200 like in one class? I'm like, that's tough. Bet. So I took the challenge, right? Because I love the 8200. I've been using it for the past 5 years. Like, that's my baby for real, bro. Like, these other lights, they're chill, but what light do I use the most? What light is taped to me? What light stays in my bag? What light do I keep an extra one of in the car just because? The 8200, right? So I'm like, okay, I swear by this light. Let me go ahead and create an entire class or entire, not class, but entire workshop around this light. So I'm gonna have everybody come in, bring in their 8200s or their V1s, but one light, whatever light you have, even if it's not an 8200, I recommend getting that bit though. I don't care what camera you got. I don't even care if you got a T5 like Nail. Get you that 8200. What I told you, Nail, we was in that one-on-one. I said, Nail, I don't care. I said, you can't, Nail, you need to get that 80, you need to get an 8200, Nail. I like the 8200, bro. It works well and great and amazing with any camera. I don't care what camera you have. It works amazing. All right. Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. I set my flash power based off the scene. Sometimes I'll go into a setting. It depends on how it looks. Like if it's darker outside, I definitely make sure to set my flash power first, unless my client goes, like if my client is talking to me and they're like, oh, I actually want to see the background a little bit, or can I see the stars in the Wraith? Like I'm like, oh, okay, let me take off my flash, let me expose for how the Wraith looks, let me expose for the background, and then change my flash power to match that, right? You go camera settings first, right, which is camera control, then you worry about the lighting, then you worry about the modifier. Learn your camera first, right? Then you learn about the lighting, right? Ambient, flash, continuous. Right? I'm not throwing them away. I'm just saying it's on the other side. I'm not throwing continuous away. I'm just saying that it's also here, but continuous and ambient kind of go hand in hand sometimes. So I'm gonna just throw it to the side, right? We have continuous, ambient, and flash, right? So you have those two things, and then you worry about the modifier. That's how you grow. You learn your camera, right? Camera control, camera settings, camera, all of that, right? Exposure circle. And then you learn about lighting, different types of lighting, which one works best for you, which one do you like as a photographer, right? Like continuous, like ambient, or do you like flash? Ambient is natural, right? Ambient, natural light. Which one do you like? And then you go modifier and figure out which modifier will create the style of photography that you like, right? You can have 5 different modifiers with the exact same light and it look totally different, right? So that's where that real sauce comes in for creativity, right? Is changing that modifier. All right, dab on them. So the 4 different shooting conditions that I like, that I always encounter, and that I feel like there are in general. I feel like there's really 3, but I'm gonna just say 4 because studio's studio's in its own lane. So every shoot falls into one of these different categories. You have a studio photo shoot, right, which is its own thing. That's like its own category. Then you have these 3 that go hand in hand together, which are all within the same, day, within the same 24 hours. You have morning, which is that soft directional light. You have midday, which is very harsh and overhead, which is like that 12 p.m., that 2 p.m., that bit over your head, harsher than the bed, looking real hard. Shadows, cat eye, things of that nature. Oh my God, don't like it, raccoon, right? Real harsh lighting. But there's ways to deal with all of these different things, right? Then you also have afternoon, evening / night vibes, which is that lifestyle session, that lifestyle vibes, that, getting over into their low-key golden hour passed. You got golden hour, you got blue hour from my real estate photographers. It's amazing to shoot houses in blue hour, shoot houses in golden hour and blue hour, pull up to the crib, and bro, I'm talking too much. Pull up to the crib in golden hour and then stay till blue hour. Get both of them photos, amazing. Real estate will love you. All right. When you memorize the base settings for each, then it will eliminate hesitation. What I told y'all, you do not get scared, you do not get nervous, you do not have fight or flight. You eliminate hesitation and do what? Get surgical. All right, you get surgical. You have to memorize, you have to create, or not even create, but have base settings for these different, right, categories, these different scenarios, these different conditions, right? And it will help you get surgical. Oh my God, boom, it's morning time. It's real bright outside. Oh, I'm gonna go higher aperture. All right? I'm at f8, f10, f11, right? Because if I don't have an ND filter, these are the Fs I'm at. If I don't got no ND filter, this is somebody who don't got no ND filter shooting natural light photography. Oh my God, what am I doing? ISO 100, boom. High shutter, boom. F250 shutter, boom, great. Now, the only thing that really gonna matter here is my aperture. It's real bright outside. I gotta go even higher on my aperture, right? I'm gonna have to go higher on my shutter too, right? Depending on how fast my subject moving, right? That's my base. If I know that I'm going outside, boom, this is me right here, me right now. Oh, I'm about to walk outside to the beach. I got a beach shoot soon. Somebody just say what I'm about to do. Boom, beach suit. 250 on my shutter, boom. F10 on my aperture, boom, cool. Now I'm gonna go 100 on my ISO, boom. Does that look good? Oh, that looks pretty straight. Oh, cool, sunshade on the camera, bam. Oh yeah, look pretty good. All right, bet. Say less. Oh, but my client wants, I'm gonna get into there. Right, boom, midday, harsh overhead. Oh, same vibe, basically. My ISO may change a little bit here. My shutter will definitely change a little bit. My ISO may change a little bit. My ISO is still gonna be around 100. If there's clouds and stuff and it might start to get darker, my ISO will be getting a little closer to 640, especially when it comes midday and afternoon. Afternoon, I'm at 640. In the afternoon, tonight, I'm at 640 now. I am now at 640, right? ISO. When you memorize these base settings for each, it will eliminate all the hesitation in the world. You will have control. What does control do? It removes anxiety, right? Why would you have anxiety? Because you don't know enough yet, right? So when you're trying to do a photo shoot or trying to conduct something that you don't know enough about or don't have enough knowledge on, you get nervous, right? You have anxiety, right? Because you don't know enough about it yet. When you know enough about something, right, to be able to teach it, speak it, talk about it, to be able to do it, execute it, you have confidence behind what you're saying. You have confidence behind what you're doing. If you know the settings and you know exactly what you're doing, you have confidence behind it. So now when it's time for you with your client, like for example, boom, a client will come, I'll be like, you chose me for a reason. I'll be like, oh, make sure that you do this, this, and that. I'll be like, you chose me for a reason. Why do I have the confidence enough to be able to do that? It's not cockiness, it's confidence. Why is it confidence enough? Because I've proven myself right thousands of times with other clients, right? So now you have confidence to know that your settings, to know that, your lighting is good, is on par, right? Is surgical enough for that client, right? Because you know that you have that confidence in yourself. So when you build that confidence within yourself, you'll be able to capture so much better images because when you go into it with confidence. You don't go into it nervous. I have shoots that I'll go into nervous and I'll be like, damn, I could have did something better. And you know you could do something better because you didn't go into it confident enough, right? You probably didn't know enough. You maybe didn't study enough. If you leave a photo shoot and you feel like, damn, I could have did better, you didn't study enough for that shoot. I told you guys, I treat every photo shoot, right? I treat every photo shoot like it's an exam. Right? Every photo shoot. Before I do it, I'm gonna study what I need to know, what I need to learn, what I need to be executing when I do that session. Maybe it's a lighting setup, maybe it's a different technique, maybe it's something, maybe it's like something that I have to do that I don't know, right? I'm studying that before I go. I'm not gonna just wing it, because when you just wing it, you didn't have confidence. Now you're leaving yourself up to have the time to be nervous, to be caught off guard. And you don't want to be nervous, and you don't want to get caught off guard, right? So study these different things before you go to these sessions, right? Whether it's posing, whether it's your composition and framing, whether it's, how settings are. Study all these different things to understand your camera, understand the lighting that you're trying to capture for this client, right? Before going there, so that way you can walk into it with confidence. Because your confidence creates control. That control removes anxiety, right? And we never want anxiety when shooting because that anxiety creates spraying and praying. The moment that you get anxiety and you feel like you don't know what you're doing, you start to just spray and pray. You're like, yeah, I just hope one of these look good. Yeah, she gonna choose something. You just flicking and your finger done got locked up. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you want to remove anxiety, right, and maintain control. right? So boom, 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 midday survival strategy. So harsh sun, I try to also, when it's really harsh sun outside, this is me telling you guys exactly what I do. I raise my aperture, if it's harsh sun outside, I raise my aperture to f8 plus. I told you I was like f10, right? f8 plus, I'm raising that aperture, right? Or my option 2 is I can beat the sun out with flash. Option 3, I can use an ND filter. Beat the sun out with flash, what does that mean, Taxi? So you can go up higher on your flash power, so that way your flash travels faster than the sun's lights, right? Than the sun's rays, right? What does that mean? If it's bright outside and you're using a flash, your flash can flash faster than the sun. So it beats out that sun's light. So the only light that you see is your flash's light, right? Thing about this is when you're shooting at a higher power to beat out sunlight, your flash will now take longer to recycle. Damn, for real? Yes. Your flash will take longer to recycle. So now it will take more time for your flash to recycle, right? Before you could take your next shot, before you could let that next flash off. Damn, for real? Yes. So, yeah, bro. And then ND filters are amazing. I don't have one on my camera right now. It's in the car. So ND filters are like sunglasses for your camera, basically, because if you want to shoot at f2.8, you still can. And you can just change the ND filter's density. I use a variable ND filter, is what it's called. It's called a variable ND, meaning that you can change through multiple ND stops on that one lens. You can change it. It's like a lens filter that goes in the front of your camera. It just screws into the front of your camera. But this is a lens hood. This is not a ND filter. This is a lens hood. You have ND filters like that. So they even make ND filters for DJIs, for your iPhone, for your phone. I have an ND filter for the camera, the phone that I use to do live streams for you guys and everything. So yeah, it helps beat out that. It reduces extra light and unwanted light from entering your lens. It's kind of like sunglasses for your camera, for real. So it matters because if you want to shoot wide open in the daylight, what does wide open mean? If you want to shoot wide open in daylight as in f1.8, 1.2, 2.8, then you need an ND filter to be able to even do that, right? Or you got to crank up your shutter for no reason. Like your shutter will be like 5,000, whenever 5,000, crazy, right? Looking ultra realistic and not serious, right? 250, f2.8, you need an ND filter to be able to beat out enough light to be able to make it look how you want it to look, right? Keeps that shallow depth of field during these harsher sun times, which is like around noon. You can maintain the same sync speed. What does that mean? You don't have to go up higher and use high-speed sync if you have an ND filter. What the fuck is high-speed sync? So for example, sometimes your flash may need to sync faster or have a faster your camera shutter needs to move faster to be able to kill with your flash. That's really basically what that. Go ahead, Dapper.
I may have cut you off, but I was kind of, since you were talking about it, I was going to say, like, you can talk about how setting that up. I know Viper was asking about it and Pack and the other group helped, but I was trying to do that the meetup. So I don't know if you've seen before that I've done kind of like a stop motion reel in my shoots. I have one locked in for graduation. I was trying to do one with Jules the model where she's walking from the background to the foreground. And the flash, even on 160, one was on 116 and one was on 132, it wasn't recycling fast enough. So there's some photos that are darker than others. I'm making it work. I'm editing. I'm gonna make them close enough. I mean, if it's a little bit of change, it is what it is. But could you I guess kind of elaborate on that to make sure for high speed sync?
So I'm not gonna lie.
Again, you might have been talking into that, and I may have.
No, I got you. So when you're doing stop motion, high-speed sync is not necessary because your high-speed sync is going to recycle slow. Like it's going to. Like it's not even like kind of like a question. Like high-speed sync is going to recycle slow because it's compensating for where it thinks that your flash is lacking. So if you're not shooting outside or you're not shooting somewhere where you need a higher syncing speed for your flash and your camera, then it doesn't make sense to use high-speed sync. Because you could just shoot at the same of 1/64, but not have to change the syncing speed on your camera for it to match up. Oh my God, what does that mean? So for example, when you have your flash connected to your camera, the max shutter that your camera can go is 250. right? When you go past that or force it to go past that, you have now entered high speed sync territory. You're now at 1/320, right? You have now entered that high speed sync territory. You don't need to be in that high speed sync territory, especially if someone's walking, right? So 250 is great to be at for somebody's walking. 1/120, 1/64 or 1/32, even 1/16 pushing it is also great for stop motion as well. And when it comes to pushing your camera transmission and your flash past that into the high speed sync territory, it will recycle slow. Like it's going to recycle slow because it's trying to communicate with your camera because it thinks that you don't have enough light. So it's trying to beat out the sun to give you a higher sync speed because it doesn't think you have enough light. But your camera, your flash don't know that. When you enter high speed sync, you're telling your flash that I need some more out of you, baby girl. And your flash is like, okay. And then when your flash gives you more, you know what I'm saying? Then it has to think again and recycle again to be able to go back off again. So it's like, it doesn't need to be in high speed sync. You really don't need to use it for real. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, so I have the metadata for the photo. Can you mind if I share it with you?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this one, I clicked on the shutter speed because I knew it was going to be whatever. She was going to be moving not as fast, but I wanted more light in. So I put it at 1/200. ISO I kicked up because I figured it might, just in case it did misfire, at 400. And then I don't know. I thought I lowered the f-stops, but I put my f-stop. It went up to 5.6. That may have what shot me in the foot. Or
That definitely made it darker for sure. But your flash power though, you said you was in high. You said, wait, how do you know you were in high speed sync though? Were you actually in high speed sync, or you think you were?
That's what I don't think I was. So originally the question was, how do I get a high speed sync to match it? So I'm saying, but you're saying that I didn't, even if whether I was or not, I didn't need it. So that's why I guess. So the original question was how to get in the high speed sync.
To get the flash to flash fast enough to be able to match up with the camera. So is your camera? Did you have continuous shoot mode on?
Yeah, I can change the drive mode.
Drive
to
mode,
high
right?
speed plus.
Yeah. So when you do it, if you go too fast, your camera, your flash literally can't keep up. So for example, I have high speed plus, high speed plus, high speed whatever. If you go to high speed without the plus, that's probably like usually the max that your flash will be able to even keep up with actually, like without like to be able to recycle. So like I went past that, and I'm guaranteed to get blanks because my camera's not moving faster than my flash can even, like mechanics can't even move. So medium and high is like a good two to be at, but high plus or beyond that, you're guaranteed to get blacks.
Okay, so then maybe I guess maybe that's where I kind of messed up at. I put myself at
Definitely probably go medium.
High speed or continuous, because I think mine goes high speed plus, high speed, low continuous, or low. Like,
yeah, so either at that medium point or at that high speed, but the plus, like I've noticed that even with me, like the plus is too much. Like the plus will be too much. Like if I look at what my camera does right now, it goes, so mine does mid, it does low, it does mid, it does high plus, then I can make it even go high plus, high, like even more than that. So you got high, mid, low. So high and mid are good ones to be at. High plus goes too fast for the flash to keep up with.
Okay, yeah, mine goes low speed continuous, which is usually what I like to be on. High speed continuous, high speed plus, and then single shot. I never go to single shot. I just kind of stay on low speed continuous.
Yeah, either high speed should be fine if you try it, but if not, then stay below that. Because for my camera, high speed is usually fine. I may get one or two like towards the end of it, but like may get one or two blacks between the ends of it. But mid is guaranteed. Like my medium is guaranteed, and then low is guaranteed to stay up too. Because you got to think about it. Like your camera is like bow, bow, like trying to breathe. Like it's like you're pushing his ass beyond his limit. And if you do it over and over and over again, he's like, wait a minute, Brian didn't get a chance to breathe yet. Like hold on, coach. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he's trying to like breathe and get his mechanics back so he can go again. So it's kind of like that. So, but yeah, though that's a guarantee. If you go too high on your flash, your camera's moving too much faster than your flash. the higher grade flashes do start to work better, but that's still like iffy. Like the 8200 Pro Mark II and the Pro Mark IIs of all the different flashes, they have faster recycle time with less refresh time and less overheating, but that's iffy as well.
No, it's cool. All right, bet I'll keep that. I'll keep that in mind and stuff. I tried to do it without the flash to see if maybe it was the flash when you were doing your TikTok dance. And I have one that you're gonna love it because it literally is it's you doing that crazy leg move. So I'm gonna try to post it this week. I'm gonna try. You'll see it, but it looks good. It looks so yeah. I don't know what I did without the flash. That's what I'm asking, but I did because we were away from the studio part, so I was just wondering. So maybe it was just a drive mode.
Nah, yeah. You can still do you can like even with the flashes off, you can still do the high like the stop motion vibes. Even with it off, you just gotta have enough light, like enough ambient or natural light in the situation, and it'll still look fine. But if you're trying to do like lifestyle, like if it was Kenny or something like that, trying to do like a lifestyle motion picture vibe, you want to set your flash at a good space to where it can recycle fast enough, which is 1/32, 1/32, maybe even 1/16, but 1/32 usually is solid. And then you set your flash power, you set your camera settings to match that now, because it'll recycle fast at 1/32, recycle fast at 1/64. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how much light you need, but it'll recycle fast with those. Like I'll set my flash. If I know for a fact I'm about to do stop motion, I'm gonna set my flash power first. Then I'm gonna set my settings to match that, because I know that the most important thing right now is my flash recycling fast enough to keep up with my camera. So I set my flash power and then my camera settings to match. If I know for a fact I'm about to do stop motion, like hold on real quick, client, let me go ahead and change this real quick. All right, bet I'm ready for you. You know what I'm saying? A little shit like that. That's what I'll do. But yeah, depending on how much light you have, it's definitely gonna be different. Because it's easy to do. It should be a lot easier to do the stop motion without a flash than with the flash, because you have to try to make sure the mechanics match up with the thing. But I can't wait to see that video. Variable ND for sure. It allows with adjustable strength, and it's always something that I use myself. Like it's always in my bag. It stays. I have 4 versions that stay in my bag. Like one has knobs on it, one doesn't have knobs on it. Oh my God, what are knobs? So like on the outside of the ND filter, it's like a big circle, and it has like little knobs that make it easier for you to turn it, right? And some of them have knobs, some of them don't have knobs. So that's like what I'd be using. So ND filter, this is one right here. This is a clear one though, but I don't know if I can take this off, but it screws to the, this bit not coming off. It screws to the, it's not coming off, but it screws to the front of your camera lens. Oh my God, why is it not coming off? Because it's a polarizer. So I always keep the polarizer on these cameras, because it helps. One, it's like a screen protector. So that way if I ever like drop my camera lens, it'll crack the polarizer and not crack my actual lens. And then 2, it helps with sun rays, like with rays, and then it also helps with reflections. I'm trying to shoot through glass, stuff like that. Yeah, so if you don't own one, you're definitely limiting yourself. Oh my God, Texas, which one do I buy? Go to the Discord, and then you can go into the gear chat, and I'll probably drop one tonight. And you gotta make sure that it matches your camera. How do I know if it matches my camera? If you look at your camera lens in the front, if everybody looks at their camera lens, there's gonna be little numbers inside of your actual camera's lens. You can look in there, it's gonna tell you, it's gonna say a number and then say MM. So this one right here says 105. This one says, it says 67 mm. So this one says 67 mm. It have a circle with a line through it. It lets you know that it's your lens size, right? It's not the millimeter size of the 24 to 70 or 24 to 105. No, it's gonna be a circle with a line through it, and it's the size of the lens diameter, right? So mine is 67. So I could put 67. I can put 67 millimeter lens filters on my actual lens, right? So I have one on there right now. So that's what I could do for this camera. All right, white balance, definitely. White balance has that mood control. For me in studio, I'm using 5500 Kelvin. It matches the daylight. It matches daylight, and it balances my flash out. So whenever I'm in studio, I'm using 5500. Because I feel like, especially when shooting melanated skin, it makes their skin still look melanated. Like rather than washing them out and stuff like that, because you guys know that, like, you know, photography wasn't created for melanin skin, so that's kind of what I use to help my melanin stay melanin. majority of the time. On location, I'm using white balance, auto white balance, or one of the auto white balance pre-adjusted settings. Like you guys know when you swipe through white balance, but there's a dog going crazy outside right now, gang. Like, bruh. But you can change the dial, and it will have like indoor white balance. It'll have a fish with an auto white balance on it. It'll have the different ones like daylight. It'll have all the different ones. You can scroll through those and see which one may fit your different scenario. If you need a different white balance than the auto, you can do that as well. Kelvin for itself is not. Kelvin helps create mood. If you can have bad skin tones. If you have bad skin tones, then the whole image looks bad. Like if someone says like, oh, don't use this Kelvin, don't use this, that, blah, blah, blah. You can have correct exposure, but if you have bad skin tones, the image still looks bad, right? So I'm shooting at 5600 Kelvin and my client looks blue, but the exposure and everything other than my client looks good. I'm still wrong. That's still not right. You want to fix your exposure and fit your white balance to where it matches and it looks right in relation to your subject's skin. Right? You have a Caucasian subject, or maybe you have someone who's very melanated or a little bit less melanated or light skin, right? You want your white balance to match them. And I found that 5500 is like my sweet spot for when I'm in my lighting setting or when I'm in a white background for sure, to make sure everything looks how I want it to look. And you can always change it when you're shooting if in editing. So if you're shooting in RAW plus JPEG, which everyone should be, you should shoot RAW plus JPEG, JPG, JPG large. Take an L on there, JPG L. You can change your white balance with your raw images, even when you're done shooting. So yeah, that's great. Boom, 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 boom. Control definitely creates confidence. Like I was telling you guys, like if you can control your camera and understand how to control your camera, you will have so much confidence. When you understand your studio base, you understand your ISO ceiling. Oh my God, what is the ISO ceiling? My ceiling, like I told you guys, is 640, right? Once you understand that, once you understand your location workflow, or if I'm in this location, I start to do this. If I'm in this location, I'm gonna do this. If it's nighttime and I'm doing lifestyle session, I'm gonna do this. If I'm at a brunch and it's indoor, I'm gonna do this. If I'm at a football game, I'm gonna do this. If I'm doing media day at a school, I'm gonna do this. You have to understand your location workflow, right? Then understand your aperture logic. What the hell is aperture logic? Like I was telling you guys, if the lower the aperture, right, the lighter, like the more light, the more susceptible to light your camera is. The higher the aperture, the darker, right? But also the more in focus it will get as well. But I thought the lower the aperture was, the more focus. Hell no. The higher that the aperture gets, the more focus it gets. You have simulated focus when the aperture is low and there's a blurry background. It's still in focus. Everything's still in focus, right? There's just like less focus points at work, and you have more blur in that background. The subject's face is highly in focus, but their ears and beyond their ears are not in focus. So it has that simulation of focus because they have that bokeh, right? But if I'm at f10 and I'm looking at something and I'm zoomed in, everything's in focus. It's way clearer. I can see all their pores. I can see their skin. I can see everything, right? It's way more in focus. That's true focus, right? Yeah. You have to understand your ND strategy. What does that mean? When to use an ND filter and when not to use an ND filter, you have to understand that for yourself, right? So for what you use it for when you use it for. But I feel like that's a vital piece of equipment to have for sure, for sure. I'm about to use that a bit when I do the beach shoot. Definitely using that. I got like 4 beach shoots this month. 2 of them are maternity. One's a birthday. I think the other one's an engagement. I got 2 weddings this month. So I got a wedding Saturday. I got a wedding this Saturday. I got a wedding next Saturday. Oh my God. I got a wedding Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. I got 3 weddings in the span of 7 days. Crazy work. Tough work though, tight shit. We're gonna get surgical for sure that. The same weddings that you guys saw me in the Patreon negotiating like the prices for are the same weddings that I got booked for. That's for this month. So whenever I get like a call or something like that, I usually like talk on there and I'll like chop up how it was recorded. I'll let you guys see my raw reaction of how I speak on real calls for you guys to be able to like hear and be like, oh my God, okay, this is how I should speak. This is how I should articulate myself. Why do I do this? Oh my God, why Texas? Why are you giving out so much game? Because I wish I had this when I started, all right? I wish I had this game when I started. I wish someone would let me listen in and hear how they're supposed to articulate their conversation. I wish someone would let me listen in and hear how they negotiate contracts. Like, I wish someone would let me do that, right? I wish I had this, so I try to create what I wish I had. And then understand the difference between ambient and flash. Where am I at? What's my setting? Do I need ambient light right now? Do I need flash right now? understanding that, right? So you'll stop reacting, you'll start executing. And this is the difference between, you know, taking photos and being able to direct light. What does a direct mean? Same how I showed you guys before. You want to make the photo, not take the photo, right? When you're posing your clients, right, you're making the photo rather than just taking the picture, giving them a pose to do, just showing them a picture on your pen. They just started doing it and you just take that picture. That's different. You want to be a true photographer. You want to be induplicatable, right? You need to direct the light and control that light. Hey, this y'all homework. Oh my God, homework, what the fuck? So, I thought we were gonna be having time for this, but I don't think I'm gonna have time for this. I'll take this bad boy out because I was gonna use it. I sure enough was gonna use it. I was gonna use you, but I might not use you no more. So, your subject, your homework, your homework is to shoot the same subject. Good sauce, never use flash, but I'm getting the idea of it. Thank you, I appreciate that. So your homework is shoot the same subject, whether it's a human or an object, and it must be natural light. No flash right now. We're talking about natural right now, right? So you have to use these different settings, and so you can see the difference between all three, and understand why you should not be sacrificing your ISO, right? That's the first portion of this the homework. I'll add the other portion to there. But this will be due Monday. I mean, really, I should make this due Wednesday for real, because it's not hard to do. Y'all can go do this tomorrow. I really should make it due tomorrow. Natural, yes. You have to understand natural before you can understand flash. If I teach flash, you put natural with an ill emoji. If I teach you guys flash first, you won't appreciate photography. You know what I'm saying? Like, type shit. You gotta like understand. You gotta see you gotta shoot natural a few times, because then it'll help you really appreciate what you're doing. Because you can't really call yourself superior as a photographer that uses flash that never tried to use natural, right? So you gotta use natural. You gotta use natural light, because that'll actually help you get better as a photographer, right? You start off natural, then you know how to use the settings, right? I do both. I use flash for the reception, for the ceremony. I do the same thing. If it's outside, I'm using natural with an ND filter if it's outside. If it's inside, I'm using flash. So it's like, same thing. If it's gloomy outside, I'll use flash. But majority of the time, I'm using natural light outside if it's outside. I'm using flash inside. That's how I'm doing. Like, that's my style that I got going on right then and there. That's what they asked for. Not what they asked for, but my regular style, the regular thing I would normally do, that's what I would do, yes. Yes, I'm using natural light, and then I'm using flash. That's why I feel like you gotta understand it. I was wondering, because people get mad about that. People get mad about that, like you taking attention. And I mean, I don't know, shit. I mean, I am attention. When I do weddings, I am attention. I'm already attention. Like, I'm getting everybody's attention. I'm like, auntie, mama, granddad, come over here. You watch a guy walking around with wielding two big ass cameras, and he's attention already. I'm already attention. And it's like, you know I'm here. Also, one thing I try to remember too is like, when I'm doing a wedding, it sounds bad, but like, I am the most important thing at the wedding, because if the photos come out bad, bro, like, they gonna be on your ass, bro. Like, if the photos come out, if the photos come out bad, the client's gonna be on your bumper. So imagine you letting Auntie Jenny get in front of you, and you didn't get the image, and your client go ask you, hey, where's the photos that we took in front of the Chevy? Oh, your Auntie Jenny was in front of me. What do you mean? Why didn't you get in front of her? Now what do you say? Oh, I didn't want to get in front of. I didn't want to disrespect. All you say is, excuse me, gang. They see the equipment. Y'all better go get that shot, right? Because you never want a time where your client comes sit down with you and tell you like, hey, why you didn't do this? Hey, why you didn't? Do what you gotta do. You're the most important thing there, bro. If it goes right in your camera, the entire day went right. I've had weddings go catastrophically to shit, and the photos came out looking amazing, and the client forgot that the day was shit. Like, the photos look great, the video looks great. The client will forget however the day went. Like, they will forget about all the BS that their uncle did and how embarrassing, whatever. You literally shape that day. You shape it. If the day went bad and you didn't take that many photos because the day went bad, you suck as a photographer, right? You should be able to still take you should be able to still create an amazing memory. Exactly, making memories. You should still be able to create an amazing memory, regardless. We got rained out for weddings. I could have easily put my camera down and be like, yeah, bro, nah, we done for, cuz. Nah, bitch, I got an umbrella. Strap the umbrella into the back of my strap. I got the umbrella above me. I'm still dual wielding. I look crazy as hell, but I'm getting the shot, right? Like, bruh, I put the umbrella in the back, boom. I got my strap on, boom. Put the belt around my side. Got the belt around me. Now strap the umbrella to my back. I'm shooting still. I gotta get the shot, right? Because if my shots come out looking great, your client will forget about everything else. They will forget anything else that went bad, right? So, and then they will keep coming back to you because they saw how dedicated you are to your craft, and they saw how far you are willing to go to get the shot, right? And how much you're willing to sacrifice for your client, right? I've had clients come here back to back to back. I've shot their wedding, I've shot their engagement, I've shot their baby's first steps. I've shot everything, bro. Like, oh my God, the maternity, so much. They're just coming back and back and back and back because they know how far I go for my clients, right? They know I go to the edge of the earth for my clients, right? I go to the edge of the earth about you. But yeah, so if you understand natural light first, then understanding flash and everything second. What I told y'all, I said, understand your camera control. Like the direct equation to what equals camera control is natural light photography, is ambient light photography. That is camera control. That's peak camera control. You can't be a flash photographer and be like, oh yeah, I understand my camera. You don't understand shit. You just understand how to add light to a situation. You can understand the flash, but you might not understand your camera, right? You might just turn the camera on and just change the flash to whatever setting looks good on the camera. You're just doing whatever, but you don't understand your camera, right? So we gotta start off with the ambient, right? Ambient light, natural light, we're starting off there. Starting off with camera control. From camera control, we will grow from camera control to lighting, to flash, right? To continuous ambient light, right? And to flash to strobe light, right? And then from there, guess where we go next? Lighting modifiers, all right? Then we go to modifiers. That's exactly how it grows. If you understand that foundation, how to control your camera, how to master your camera, then you go up one, you can master lighting. Then you go up two. Now you know the lighting modifiers, right? That's exactly how it has to grow. All right, so you're gonna submit the images. You're gonna also write an explanation of what changed in between each and where you notice that the noise appears in your images. If you can, take a picture of a human or a subject to be able to do it, but you're gonna use these exact settings. I literally gave them to you, and I chose F4 because everyone's camera can go F4. You can lie and say it can't, but it literally can, right? Your focal length, all that other stuff to me does not matter, but F4, probably 24 frames. 24 frames. I probably should put that on there. 24 frames. I feel like everybody got a camera that goes 24 frames, because then I feel like it'll look the exact same for everybody, but just different photos of people. But yeah, you'll be able to see that. So that's gonna be for y'all homework. I'm gonna drop that at some point tonight, probably tonight. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I gotta clean all this up, bro, and get back home. That'll be next class. We'll do like a hands-on something next class. I was about to do it, but we'll do like hands-on something for next class for y'all to be able to like actually see what's really going on and everything. Does anybody have any questions though? If anybody's watching from YouTube or Instagram, make sure that you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? One. Also, make sure that you guys are a part of the Discord community. Make sure you guys join the class if you have not already, if you want to still join. Then we have like 4 more slots for enrollment for this month. But every month it changes. You know, we have a tier where you can join and you could just become a part of the community. And you could just learn alongside us, like watch the recording, stuff like that. But we have the one where you can participate in the class as well. Hey, Mr. Cat, where you can walk and you can be a part of the actual class and talk with everybody during classes. This was a great first class for me. So many gems. Will there be a replay? Yeah, there will. I'm gonna upload it tonight. You know, so what I'm done right now, I'm recording it right now. I upload a replay, and then I put a summary of the class so you can read over it, like a recording and a summary for you guys. And then I also upload the slides for y'all too. All good, everybody? Somebody be a human real quick. appreciate you.
Yes.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
Hey, I got a question. It's not about like this though.
Thank you guys. Go ahead, LJ.
I was gonna say, well, it's two questions. Number one, for this video,
Oh shit.
the horizontal.
You said the studio?
You said, am I in the studio?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm driving on the way home. No.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. What you said? Say it again.
No, I was saying for this funeral that I have to shoot the video coverage for tomorrow, should I shoot like horizontal or vertical?
Ask them. Definitely horizontal. I always do horizontal. But I mean, if you feel like you don't know,
Who I've been talking to, he hasn't really been like. He's obviously grieving right now, so he ain't really been trying to talk too much.
horizontal. Horizontal. Horizontal is always a safe bet because if you do it vertical, you can't go back. If you do horizontal, you can always make it vertical. But if you don't do horizontal, you literally can't go back. So do horizontal as a safe bet always, because a lot of times they be posting this stuff on Facebook and stuff, and that it looks good horizontal. Probably send it to their family, horizontal. Even if they post it on Instagram, probably horizontal. Especially if they're like a part of the older crowd, horizontal is good. And even if they're not, horizontal is good for you because you could always film it in horizontal and you could always chop it to be vertical. And if you film don't film overly wide to where it doesn't look good. But if you have your rule of thirds grid on your camera, you can stay within those middle thirds to make it look good. So if your rule of thirds grid is on your camera and you turn it on, so if y'all could see, I don't know if y'all can see, but y'all see, I can't see that bit. Y'all can see it a little bit probably. There's a rule of thirds grid on my camera. If I stay inside of that middle third, I can make this into a reel. So I film all my stuff horizontal because if I stay inside this middle third, right? If y'all look into the camera, if I stay inside this middle third right here and right here, I can always make it into a reel. But if I'm zoomed in too much, I can't make this into a reel for real. So I stay wide enough and I keep my rule of thirds grid on. So if I keep the people inside of that middle third, it can always become a reel. All right?
All right, man. So, and then my other question was basically, should I stay at that base that you had said, 1/60, what was it, 2.8, and then like 640?
For video, right?
Yeah, all video.
874?
You said do what?
874?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what time of the day is it? Is it inside or outside?
So I'm gonna start outside. They want me to meet them at the house, and then inside, like their funeral's inside.
Yeah, so the same base video settings that we had, that you had said before, like the same video settings as before, and your ISO just may change between 100 and 640. If it's outside and it's like light, then like you can stay. Yeah, but you don't got an ND filter, do you either? Because if it's bright outside, 640 is a native.
No, I got an ND filter.
Okay, yeah, so stay at 640, and then just use your ND filter to go to accompany it, to change it as needed. Because 640 is native for video. So for video, if you guys are wondering, for video you want to be at your native. For photo, you want to be below your native, right? So when you're a hybrid photographer, videographer, you want to be at your native, right? So your native is 640, you want to be at 640, right? If your native is 800, you want to be at 800 when you're doing videos, right? So some cameras have dual native, which means that 640 times 2 would be your native. So some of them have 12800 sometimes, or 6400 sometimes is their dual native, right? So they're able to shoot at a higher ISO, but those are certain cameras that are made for video. But with the photo cameras, a lot of us will be 640 will be our native. So we're gonna shoot at our native. Oh my God, what do I do if it's dark outside? Then you go up, so you double it by 2. So if it's 640, you're gonna go at 1200, right? So 1200, and then you go up from there, like if it's even higher, but you doubling it up, multiplying. But for you, 640 ISO, f2.8, 640 ISO, f2.8, f1/50 for your shutter, ND filter, and you're solid. If you feel like 102.8 is too low, you can go to f4, shutter speed 1/80, because 4.0 times 2 is 80. Oh my God, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm gonna get into it when we do video, you guys, while I'm like brushing through it. Then 1/80 for your shutter, 4.0 for your aperture, 640 for your Western. That's like a real nigga setup right there. Like that's some great settings right there. That 80, 40, 640, great, amazing. Even if you don't have an ND filter, like that's amazing right there. Make sense?
Yeah, no, I got you. Basically, just doubling that.
But any more questions, anybody? Let me see what Instagram talking about. Go ahead, Kenny.
Yo, all right, I had a question. Like, I asked about the LLC stuff. I'm probably gonna do it either tonight or tomorrow when I got the time. But in terms of like names, cause I be hearing some people say like,
Don't add certain words.
LLC.
Yeah, they're like, don't add certain words.
Like my name got my name in it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it can't even be snapping. So like, would that be an issue or like it don't matter? Cause I was gonna put like make it an initial like KBS probably or.
You could do you could do KBS Media. It's really up to you.
Okay.
Because KBS Media.
If that mattered for.
People say don't put your name into it. I say having your name in it. There's certain words that people more so shun against putting in. Like if you put like certain words that give out too much information about your type of company, like I mean, for us being media, it doesn't really matter. But some people are like have like a consulting firm. You wouldn't put consultant like in it, like because like later when you're trying to get like business credit or something like that, it's a lot harder because they usually don't accept those types of companies because they feel like they're like higher liability or whatever. But I feel like if you did like KBS Media or something like that, like even if it was like I feel like you'd probably like stick somewhere near like media, because if you just do photo or something like that, then it like just makes it geared towards just photography. I'd say like kind of keep it somewhat broad, but KBS Media sounds good. Like just make sure check on Sunbiz and make sure that it's still available.
Yeah, I did that a little bit because at first I was gonna do Kennedy Snap at LLC, but I mean, or like KBS Media you said good, but I was gonna do KBS LLC. I was gonna leave it at LLC, but I didn't know I could put other words on it.
Yeah, definitely. I put like definitely LLC at the end is good because also like if you plaster it somewhere, it makes you look professional as well.
Yeah. Okay.
And you gotta think about it too. Like you don't want to grow out of your name. Like for example, 3, 4, 5 years go by from now. Do you feel like if you have Kenny B Snapping, you feel like you're gonna have to? Do you feel like you're gonna have to reframe your LLC name? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you feel like if you wanted to like shift in your photography career or hybridness, like Kenny B Snapping LLC, it don't really tell me what you do. It's like Kenny B Snapping, it's like you could be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? But if KBS Media is like, he's a media, he does media production. Okay, I respect him.
Okay.
Like Kenny B Snapping, you might want to change it later. Not saying you will change it later, but if it's your LLC, it might be like, oh yeah, like is he a tap dancer? Like does he rap? Like stuff like that. If I'm thinking unbiased. Like if I'm someone who just heard it, like I don't know what you do. But if your LLC is like KBS Media and my Instagram is Kenny B Snapping, oh okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like he has a media production company. Like you're respectable. You know what I'm saying? You're immediately like I'm like, oh yeah, most def.
That's what I was trying to ask because I don't know too much about that.
Yeah, so definitely like if you do KBS Media, I feel like that's tough. And then and then your KBS logo hard as shit too already. So yeah. That KBS Media would fit very well. Yeah, and then if you keep making your content on Kenny B Snapping, if you want to have a portfolio page, you would make a KBS Media LLC page, and you could collaborate your Kenny B Snapping photos when you post your photos, or if your clients post the photos, you can collaborate then with KBS Media and Kenny B Snapping. So we have both. So you can still create your content and stuff like that if you want, and you can still do that. Or if you want to just manage one page and then keep your Kenny B snapping page and then have all your professional photos on your main feed and then hide your reels to your reels tab.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
Just gave you different things to think about. Not most stuff. You're welcome, bro. And then make sure when you're going through it, bro, there might be a pop-up and somebody trying to help you do it. It's not hard to set up your LLC, bro. You pay that $125 and you chilling. They're gonna be like a pop-up. Somebody might be like, oh, we'll help you, or the moment that you put your number in to the thing, somebody's gonna call you. Don't answer. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, because the moment that you put your number into the system, they're like, oh, this person's applying for LLC right now. Let's call them and try to help him file for the LLC. They'll call you, try to help you file for the LLC, then they'll charge you $300. So, yeah. Yeah, nah. Go ahead, C. And then when you...
What's up, Taxi? Since we're on the topic, do you have any recommendations or advice for like registered agents when you're setting up the LLC?
You put yourself. Yourself?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You are your agent.
Appreciate you.
So that's when people try to call you, they want to be a registered agent. They want to get commission based off of them signing you on to an LLC. So you would be your registered agent. Your registered agent is just somebody who represents you, and it will be you. So for example, if you ever got into a crime and you wanted to represent yourself, you can represent yourself. That's your registered agent, is you representing yourself.
Gotcha. Thank you, man.
Because your LLC is aside from you. So your LLC is your LLC, and then you are a person. The whole goal of creating LLC is to take liability off of yourself. If someone were to fall in the studio, the LLC would be liable, not me, right? So it wouldn't fall back on me or fall onto the LLC.
So that's the case even if you're the registered agent yourself, it falls back on the LLC.
You're just the person that you're just the person that represents the LLC, but the LLC is still its own entity, which is why they give you a social security number for the LLC, because social security the LLC is now its own person. It's now its own thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome. Any other questions? That was my last one too. My last little one. That means it's time to get up by, you know. Man, I got so much editing to do, but y'all don't understand. I got edits out the ass right now. Yet I still find some way to show up for y'all, bro. Real spill. I still show up for y'all. I be damned, because I wish I had this, bro. So I'd be damned if I don't show up, man. I'd be damned. I need some water. But yeah, next class I'm gonna probably do the settings and show it exactly what I taught y'all about today. I'm gonna do it again, but I'm gonna show you guys how the settings change. So ISO, 5100 Kelvin. I'm gonna show you in camera how do things change, but I'm trying to find a good way to live view my camera for you guys. I think I'm gonna have to use the what's it called? The I think I know exactly how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do, let me see. I know exactly how I'm gonna do it. I know I'm gonna do it. The same way how I do my instant sharing with clients when I'm out in New York, the Sony Camera Connect app. I'm gonna use that same one to be able to show it, or monitor control app to be able to control it on my on here while I'm taking pictures of you guys. I'm not gonna tether it directly through using Evoto, but I will be tethering it using the Sony Camera Connect app, so I can go directly into my camera. I mean, directly into the thing. But yeah, I'm about to assign the homework for you guys. I'm gonna do a little bit of testing to make sure that this works for next class. Because I'll be forgetting, bro. I'll be forgetting how to set everything up, and I'll be forgetting what needs to go where. I'll be forgetting what plug into where. Like, bro, there's so much stuff that's y'all can probably see it. Look, can y'all see it? Look, there's so much stuff that goes into just setting up this stream, bro. I have the TV in my car. I gotta unpack the TV from the car to be able to set it up for you guys. This is the meetup TV. I bring this TV to every meetup, bro. But I have a makeshift thing over there. Yeah, it's a lot, bro. And I'm tired right now, but I got to do some editing. So y'all will see on my story. I'm gonna timestamp that bit. I'm gonna be up tonight, boys. Getting some shits done. All right, but if there's no more questions, I'm about to wrap it for y'all. I'm a TTYL and things of that nature, so I can try to figure this out. Love you guys. Check out the Google Classroom for the homework. I'm gonna post the homework on there for you guys to be able to join. Not join, but be able to submit your homework and stuff. I might make it due Wednesday, bro. No cap, because I feel like it's not that hard. So I really might make it due in a day.
If you do Wednesday, bro, I swear I'm gonna just do it at the wedding. I mean, the funeral. Bro, I ain't gonna care.
You just gotta remember which one you do. So what you would do is you would take a black picture of you take a picture of something black and to separate it. So take a picture of something black, do your assignment, and then take another picture of something black. So when you go back and look at all your photos, you know that in between the two black pictures are your actual your assignments. That would help you.
Nah, but see, I'm doing video only.
Oh yeah. So your photos, you go yeah. I get you saying.
Them pictures from the for the homework.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to.
That, bro. Like just chill, bro.
Oh man. Boy. All right, I love y'all, bro. Don't do that. Just vibe. Bro, what you mean, bro? Y'all got a day. You telling me y'all can't do it in a day? That's how you mean, bro. You know what be pissing me off, bro? I was talking to somebody today, bro. And I was like, there is no way. Like, y'all gotta think about this. Think about this. Be real with yourself. How many hours of the day are you awake, right? If you sleep 8, you're up 16. Cool. You're telling me that 60 seconds out of all of those, 1 minute out of all those hours that you're awake, you can't post one video of content? You're telling me that all of them hours your ass is awake, you can't take less than 10 minutes to make one piece of content a day? That hurt somebody's feelings? You telling me your ass, oh my God, I'm at work. Cool, subtract 8. 16 hours of your life are gone. Cool, you got 8 more. Oh my God, I work 12 hours a day. All right, subtract more. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, subtract 4. You got 4 more, you still got 4 hours to use for yourself. You went and started scrolling and started consuming that shit, but you didn't create nothing? And you have the time, you have the breath in your body to grow your business, and you didn't do it? That can go with creating content. That can go with studying. That can go with practicing your photography. That can go with scrolling on Pinterest and practicing posing. That can go with looking at different lighting styles and practicing that. That can go with going on this light, the app that me and D use, Set a Light. You can go and set a light and test out different lighting scenarios virtually. Less than an hour a day is all it takes, bro, to change your fucking life, gang. And y'all ass be out here on bull. Like, you can really make a piece of content a day in less than 10 minutes. It's not that hard. You just overthinking that shit. And since we're on the topic, y'all ass need to be updating. Y'all post, bro, y'all ain't been posting, 1. 2, you haven't been doing your digital diary. I did mine yesterday. All right? Do your damn digital diary. And 3, if you want, nothing changes and nothing changes. So if you're not creating your content or you're not posting, nothing will change. Throughout this entire time of us going from zero to surgical, content is non-negotiable. The entire time that I was growing my photography business, I was doing content the entire time. That was the one non-negotiable thing for me was content. I needed to post. Oh my God, every single day? Hell yeah, man, post something. It's not that hard, bro. You scroll every day, so you can't post every day? Like, you giving everybody else attention and engagement, but you can't get none for your damn self? So, do that, bruh. For yourself. Like, do it for you and your own growth, bruh. Alright? I'm gonna leave y'all ass alone. I love y'all. Hasta luego. Talk to y'all later. Post some shit. Post. What time do I post? 12 or 6? But stop asking questions. Post. Post. It's not hard. Post. Love y'all. Hasta luego. All right. What's up, YouTube? What y'all want? How y'all doing, YouTube? Y'all got questions? How you doing, Instagram? Y'all got questions? Anybody got questions before I end everything? 'Cause I'm about to end the whole class. I'm about to end it all. What's up? Y'all got more? Y'all got anything for me? No? No questions? Cool. I'm about to end it all. Anybody ask anything in here? I don't think so. What's the homework? Boom, boom, boom. That's it. That's studio. Boom, boom, boom. Bet. Love you guys. Until next time. Taxi. All right, YouTube. Talk to y'all later.